Hello and welcome to episode 43 of In PS We Trust, a PlayStation podcast. My name's Davey and joined with me as always is Phil.
Lads, let's start this episode with a bang. I won the big quiz last time and I've got shots to hand out. So lads, let's have a shot each. Let's go. Pour the drinks.
Fucking hell. Well, I might as well let you know I'm with Spencer as well. Spence, I'm coming down to you. I'll see you in the dining room, mate.
I haven't even had a chance to say anything yet, and I'm doing a shot. Oh my god.
That's how we start the show. That's how we start the show.
Oh, I owe 6.
Now, Spencer, you're the one who recommended to me Fireball. You said, when we were going shopping, you said, Fireball is a cinnamon-based whiskey.
Correct.
And you said it's gorgeous. Now, listener, I've never had it before. Let's see what it's like, shall we?
Well, lads, as I owe, I believe, 2, my count is at, and we'll discuss who owes what afterwards. I'm going to join you on this first shot. So it's 2 to you, and I'm going to take out 1 that I owe. Okay. So cheers, lads.
Cheers, mate.
Chin chin.
Chin chin.
Cheers, cheers. That was nice.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. That was lovely. That was really nice. We'll have some more of that later on, shall we?
It stays around there, doesn't it?
A bit too long. Phil, that was a nice little way for you to introduce the podcast. Get the taste buds swirling straight away as soon as we go off the bat here. Now, how are we set when we look at the shot ratio? How many we got left?
Well, as I said, I won the big quiz a couple of episodes back, episode 40. So I got 5 to hand out. So that's 2 straight away to you boys. So I'm down to 3 left I've got to give out. And I believe I owed 2 from previous episodes. I'm not entirely sure where Spencer's count is up. I don't have enough fingers really now. I've lost count. I think it's 3 or 4.
I think it's 6.
You had 2 from my quiz, definitely. You've unfortunately lost the quick news sound twice in a row, so that's an extra 2, so that's 4. Have you hit the button in the last couple of episodes? I don't think you have. So you've at least got 4, but then we've also got Phil's extra wild card ones that you can lay on us for being a quiz winner. So you've got 4 to go, plus whatever Phil dishes out on you.
I think 4's fair, because that's the count I had as well.
I'm happy to take 4. I do have work tomorrow, I'm gonna say. So be kind with your extra shots, please, Phil.
Well, this episode, we've got a lot that we're going to be going through. We're going to be revisiting medium news, so we're going to be slowing it down and unpacking some of the news that's come out over the last couple of weeks, because there is loads of it. We've also got 2 topics and a full Rumour Has It section. Now, our topics in question that we're going to be talking about on this episode, we're going to be talking about the recent news with Starfield and Redfall being delayed, and we're getting in our Xbox expert, Lewis, the potato chief himself, is joining us on that topic. And then we're going to be moving on to the PlayStation Plus collection, because there has been a load of games that have been announced, and we've got loads that we can unpack there. But lads, first off, before we move on to anything, I got something I want to derail the podcast with. Last time I was talking about sexy statues. Today I want to talk to you about animals. And I'm going to set the scene. I was on Twitter, right? I was scrolling through as you do. And I saw this video, right? This guy was fishing in a lake. And this sheep just comes up behind him. And you think, oh, the sheep's just going to watch him fish. And it looks at him. And you can see it just stares at him for about 30 seconds. And it just thinks, fuck this guy. And it walks back. And then charges him and just plonks him into the river. And I thought, this sheep has got a lot of cheek, right? Because that guy could just get up and strangle the fuck out of that sheep. Like, he could just get him and just kill it straight away. But we don't as human beings, right? We have self-control. Now, the question I want to get you guys thinking about today, what's the biggest animal that you could take on in the 1v1 and take down? And do we have any sort of rule that we can implement into the podcast going forward so we know if an animal is potentially life-threatening in a 1v1 situation? Fight to the death. You know, there's no morals. We're not worried about the endangered list here. This is just you fighting for your life. What's the biggest thing you can take down? Phil, I want to come to you first on this.
Okay, it's a tough question, right? I'm thinking off the top of my head, and I'm thinking, most insects I've got down. I don't think there'll be much of a problem. I'm size, 10 going on 11. I'm a growing boy. I'm 6'2". Smash. Most insects, no chance. And then I'm thinking rodents, possibly, until I come up against Master Splinter, of course. I'm a massive Turtles fan, as we found out last episode. And then it gets a little bit grey. Because I don't want to be killing dogs or cats.
It's 1v1. It's not a case of you have a say in the matter. It's kill or be killed here. It's not like I wouldn't want to kill a cat. It's that cat is going for my blood, and it is the cat or me. That's the way you're thinking, kind of like Walking Dead scenario here, where you don't want to be the guy who's going to run a camp and kill everyone and enslave everyone else, but sometimes it's you or them, and that's the way it's got to be. This is that situation, but it's you, and in your scenario, a house cat. Can you take on the house cat and win?
Does this house cat have the Resident Evil, as I can say it now, as we're in the early part of the podcast? Does it have the virus? Because those killer dogs, I've died bunch of times to those throughout all of Resident Evil. As soon as they're featured, they always catch me off guard and take me down. I haven't got enough herbs to keep me alive with those dogs. So if I'm against those, I'm dead. I think that's probably where I draw the line.
This is just a generic default house cat or any animal that we talk about here. And you with your bare fists. Nothing else. You're totally naked in this scenario. So you're completely butt naked. Just you versus the creature, one-on-one. Who's going to win?
And you said you came up with this idea when dreaming last night?
No,
Thinking about me and Spencer naked, killing animals?
I was thinking about that sheep, and I was thinking the cheek on that sheep, right? We're the prime species on the planet. And that sheep reckons he could just step to someone and not have any consequence whatsoever. If it was any other animal, you wouldn't go up to a bear, right? And it's hibernating, you just go up and you'd be like, wake up! Slap it on the head and then think, oh, I'm going to get out of this, no problems at all. You know you're getting mauled to death. Why does that sheep reckon he can just come up and insult someone like that? And that's what got me thinking, oh, he's stepping. We're getting too soft as a species. We need to create a rule that we know we can take on anything below a certain point. So, Spence, you and me have already had a similar discussion to this before, years gone by. I want to know, what are you thinking on this?
Right, well, yeah, as you said, it kind of arcs back to our past conversation during a drive to fuck knows where. And what we said at the time, and I think I still agree with it as well, was that we could take a big dog or even like a wolf. Because our strategy would be sacrifice the leg, shove your leg in their mouth, but then stick your fingers in the eyes and stab the brain with your hand. And that would be the strategy. I feel like it would work. I'm not sure how far back the brain is from the eye socket on an animal like that. Because if you got small fingers, you're hopeless. You need long fingers. Otherwise, you're sticking your cock in its eyes. And I don't know how well that'd work with your leg in its mouth.
Well, the problem with that strategy is you need to be erect going into the fight, wouldn't you? So you need to be so engaged in the battle that you're immediately erect, and then that's going in the eye. I feel like there's too many variables in that. Whereas I think the thumb into the eye is a good one. You said the leg. I think the leg's a bit of a bad strategy. I mean, you're losing mobility there. For me, I'm thinking straight away, you sacrifice the arm, right? You chuck an arm in. Like, you talk about like a dog, like a Rottweiler or something, right? They come at you and you're like, take the arm, right? Sacrifice the arm, and the other arm just in. And it's going in, and that's it, game over, right? And you're out of there. And sure, you got a mangled arm, but you win the fight. And that's what this is all about.
See, my issue with that ideology, although I agree with what you're saying, my issue with it is that I'm fighting to win. And after the fact, I'm going to be alive because I will have won and I'll be surviving. I want both my arms. I don't care if I can't walk. I want to be able to play my PS5. This is a PlayStation podcast. How am I supposed to play with one arm? I know people do it. People have beaten freaking Dark Souls with disabilities. I'm not that committed. I'm lazy. I'd quite like to not have a leg because then disability benefits. Let's go. Don't have to do shit and I can just stay home and play my PS5. What, if anything, it'd be class.
You're definitely taking it into thinking about the ramifications after the fight. My whole theory is that just the fight ends and that's it. You know, like that's it. You're the winner, right? Like, I don't know what happens after that. I hadn't really considered your life after that fight. I just thought in that moment, who walks out of that alive, or stumbles out of there, or limps, whatever the case is. Like, who gets out of there? That's really all I'd considered. Phil, have you thought more on this, or are you still sticking with the house cat as the penultimate enemy for you?
Yeah, I think most cats I could take down, but when it comes to the dogs, I think there's going to be some difficulties there, especially when you get towards the bigger end of the species. But what you're saying is that you kind of get that game over reset, don't you? Once you kill the animal, you've got no bearing on your life afterwards. There's no repercussions. You get no PTSD. You have no injuries. It's much like going into a fight in a fighting game, and then you just walk out the other side and go, "Oh, brilliant!" Right? No story, no reason or rhyme for attacking this animal. You've just had the fight and game over.
That's exactly what I'm thinking, yeah. So there's no, like, you're not on a personal vendetta against Animal Kingdom. You're not like, I am going to prove that I am the lead species. I'm going to kill everything with my bare hands. You're literally just on a, like you said, fighting game. It just resets, You're just on to the next thing. You're like, right, I've beaten that bug. Like you said, I just stood on that bug. Game over, right? Next thing, snake. Same game plan. The boot's too effective. What's he going to do? Boom! Step on it, game over. And then you just move up the food chain. You just moving on up, baby. And that's why, for me, I think we top out around bear. Around bear levels, probably where we top out. I think even lion, you talk about a lion in the savannah, right? This is how I imagine it, right? I'm going to give you a bit of demonstration. You're in the savannah. You're standing there. You're butt naked. Like this. Come on, bro. And then it comes at you, straight in, thumb in there. Straight off. Arm goes in the mouth, thumb in the eye. Game over. The only reason that bear wouldn't work is because it's too tall. It's too tall.
I think you're going to struggle with most animals. You can't get your arms around their neck to kind of strangle, right? So when you're looking at like an elephant, you can't choke an elephant, can you? You can't RKO an elephant. I can't come out of the savannah and just boom, RKO straight on that elephant. That ain't happening. When you get up that higher end, it's much too difficult, mate. They're not gonna lay down for you.
I think you're getting this all wrong. I'm not trying to choke them out. I'm not trying to do this in like a way that makes sense. I'm doing this in a way that I'm sacrificing a body part by disengaging the mouth. The mouth's out of the picture. Then they got the arm. Have it. You got it. Thumb comes in then straight out. No, ooh, and they're like, oh, I never expected that. But you don't stop at the little bulge on the eye. You just go in. We're digging in, boys. We're going digging. And he just straight in there.
This is the mountain versus the viper. Again and again, isn't it, in your fighting game? Your special move, you power up, you go for the flashy ultra, as you've been coined in many fighting games in the past, especially against Ryan Hart, where you suckered him in, and then you went full force, straight to the eyes.
It's a winning strategy.
I think it's a winning strategy, but your issue with the bear, right, is that sure, you're sacrificing an arm, and you're going for the eye. Bro, have you seen a bear's claws? It will put your arm in its mouth and then slash your chest and you are dead. I think if you're stating the rules, right, as you're in a savannah, you and an animal, you're both naked, bare hands, right? That's the rules. That's what we're saying.
That's the rules. Yeah, that's the rules.
Quick one. Do you get power-ups on the animals you've beaten in the past?
No.
So say I've beaten the snakes, I'm going to strut in and I've got snake skin shoes, right? I'm coming in with rodent, I don't know, ears.
Yeah, you've like made trophies out of your kills. I don't think so. I don't think we even want to bring an intimidation factor into this when they see that you've got this whole animal species behind you of all these different bugs. And I think we'll just leave the psychological warfare aside and it's just you versus that one-on-one situation. I see what you're saying, Spence. That's why the bear for me is like, we're never beating the bear because they got too much going on, right? They got too much. Like, I can't go up and jump on a bear. It's not going to matter. I can't, like, just come out of nowhere with just a right hook. It's not going to matter. But I mentioned about a lion. You reckon that's a no-goer?
Lion's a no-go. I'll tell you, if the rules specifically, this has to be specific, you're in a savannah or a forest or whatever, and you're fighting 1v1 versus animal, the best animal we could beat would be a great white shark, and that's just because you'd time it out. Because if it's there, lead on the ground, you just stand next to it until it's dead. And that's the strategy.
For water-based animals, I was thinking would be in their domain, right? You can't do that to them. But
You're
I
fucked.
think great
You're
white
fucked then.
sharks.
You're not even beating a friggin' salmon, bro.
Great white sharks, same thing. They literally, if anything, great white sharks even easier because they go for the midriff, right? So you're in the midriff, you're getting dragged. You're like, I ain't going out. Straight through the eye. And it's over. It's over for a great white. Great white's easy. Great white's way down the food chain. But yeah, bear. Maybe lion might be a top one. Maybe that might be tough. I reckon it's a dual matchup. Maybe a 6-4 matchup against lion. I reckon in this scenario, we'll have to run the numbers a few times. Listeners, I'm desperate to know what you think our top winning matchup is. Remember, we're not looking to survive this with any form of dignity afterwards. We can come out this and die immediately after the fight. We're just looking to see what's the biggest animal we as a human species can take on in the 1v1 with no weapons and come out as the victor. All strategies legal. I want to hear them. Please write into the podcast, psvtrust@gmail.com. Let me know what you think we should do here. So moving the show swiftly onwards, Spencer, we always start with you. What are you drinking today?
Right, well, I'm technically on my third one already. This episode of the podcast, I am over your house, and you went to Asda for me, and you picked up a selection of beverages, and you called me whilst you were there and asked what would I like. And I said I would very much like some ciders. And you said they had Old Mout cider. Little did you know, Old Mout, probably my favourite cider. It actually really is. I adore Old Mout. Granted, none of these choices that I have. Berries and cherries, top tier. That's the best out the bunch. Usually I'd get like a passion fruit, berries and cherries. Well, those are the best too, to be fair. Everything else, those are S tier, everything else is C tier, in my opinion.
You're saying that you prefer Old Mout to Recorder Lake, which, as we've already stated before, Recorder Lake's a really solid podcast choice. It's a recurring podcast beverage. The Recorder Lake. So you'd prefer to go for the Old Mout rather than that?
I would, and the reason is I've only ever been to 2 places in my life. That's the Pen and Wig and Drago Lounge. And those 2 places have Old Mout berries and cherries on tap. Oh, baby. Oh, that shit bangs, bro. Oh my god. Ever since just ever tasting that. It's the first time I went to the Pen and Wig, saw their selection, and I went, is that Old Mout? He said, yeah. I was like, what flavour Old Mout? Berries and cherries. I was like, oh, how much for Old Mout? £3. I was like, oh, baby, I'll have 2 of those, please. And then, since it hit my lips, it's been my cider of choice.
Well, fair enough. I mean, I'm not going to be the one to say that you're wrong, even though you are wrong, because the Record Lake's way better. And having that on tap is a gift from the gods themselves. And that's why they don't deliver it very often. That's why you don't see these top tier drinks on tap very often, because you can't spoil a good thing. You know, it's got to be like that moment where you're like, oh, same reason why Five Guys aren't everywhere, because it's special when you see one, you know? It's just that you just don't quite have it all the time. It's the way that Xbox people feel about their games, right? They never get them. So when they get one, it's amazing, right? Oh, dear. Foreshadowing for what's to come. What about yourself, Phil? What are you on?
Well, Davey, I've been on my travels again. So over the last 2 weeks, I've been over in France. I got to visit the French entity that I work for. So we have offices all around the world, and I was invited over to France, over to Lille, and we enjoyed some lovely beverages in the evening. And part of my going away gift from the office, the marketing director over there bought me a Moulin's to take back. It's a blonde lager, so I'm sampling that tonight. It's a 6.2. It's quite a big bottle, as you can see, and you can tell it's a posh kind of beer because I'm drinking it out of a glass.
Oh, that is posh. That is mega posh. Can I just look at the front of that bottle before? Because I've never seen this before in my life. Can I look at the front of that bottle, please?
So I know what you're going to pick up on. I say I've been to France, and there's windmills on it, which you'd probably associate with Holland. But here it is.
I do like the yellow.
It is all in French, by the way.
That's fine. Don't ever question my French ability again. I can read that absolutely fine.
I know how good you are with accents. Because, ooh la la, you can speak the French, can't you?
Exactly. We won't go into it. I don't want to show off. But it's a nice
You've got
bottle.
that certain je ne sais quoi when it comes to the language.
Oui. How does it taste?
Interesting, right? So I'm famous on the podcast for going from one extreme to the other. So I'm either on my Bud Lights, which literally have no flavour at all, and they just keep the buzz going. And then I go all the way up to the other end, which is probably the brew dogs. There's a lot of flavour there, and I would put that towards the higher end. There's a lot going on. It's a blonde lager, and I'm very much enjoying it, but it is a 6.2 and it's a big-ass bottle. So we'll see where this podcast goes. I know Spencer's got quite a lot of shots to get through, so I'll probably be on the same sort of level as him at the end of this. But I'm up early tomorrow because I'm going to watch the rugby. Come on, you Bath. So I don't want to get too drunk, but let's see how it goes, boys.
There's no way that for Bath you can do like a rugby chant, like as if it's some kind of like... You're not supporting Newport here, mate. You're supporting Bath. It must be the most tame crowd I've ever seen in my life. Come on, Bath. Please do a great job. That's their chant over in Bath. Well, lads, I'm on Estrella. I mean, come on. It's the classic. But, and this is the big thing. I've teamed that with what I already said was the best bottle design of all time. He's on the flippy tip Grolsch's, boys. Ready to hear it? Oh!
Let's go.
Oh my God, that's good. So I've got an amazing time ahead of me. And I tell you what, lads, this show's already started with a bang. Let's bring it on to what we've been playing.
This time on NPS We Trust, what have the boys been playing?
It's been 2 weeks since the last podcast episode, and Phil, I'm desperate to know what you've been up to in these last 2 weeks. Lay it on me.
Well, Davey, I'm glad you asked, because I've been putting in the work. I've been playing a little game, which we talk about a lot, and it's called Dino Crisis. Obviously, I can't talk a lot about it because we're going to do a spoiler cast from the past, and I've denied that rumour because I think we said it was going to come out like maybe last week, was it?
I think it was 2 days ago. I think it was supposed to come out 2 days from the day of us recording, so the 18th it was supposed to come out.
So rumour denied, but listeners, viewers, it is on its way. We are all finishing the game currently. I think me and Davey, we've completed it. Spence, you've got a couple of hours to go. So that will be coming out very, very soon. All my streams, they're up on Twitch if anyone does want to go back and just enjoy the ride with me. And boy, it's a ride. And I cannot wait to talk to you lads about that game because there's a lot to unpack there. But outside Dino Crisis, I've gone back to Guardians of the Galaxy. So I've just completed the game. I was really enjoying this game with my main complaint last time, and I think I was playing this pre-Horizon, was the enemy variety. But a lot's changed now I've completed the game. In my opinion, it's a solid 8 out of 10, this game. And I would implore you to go back and play this game if you haven't already. It is genuinely worth playing. Even if you're not into the MCU, if you're not into Guardians, it's a really, really funny game. And combat aside, maybe enemy variety aside, because I still stick with that. There are a couple of new enemies, but ultimately there's nothing that crazy in the game. It is genuinely a good game all round. I did get the platinum for Horizon, and I am going for the platinum now. I've turned a leaf in my book. I am going for the platinum now with the Guardians. I'm 87% through, but boy, are there some stinkers when it comes to the trophies. There's some horrible RNG-based call-to-action trophies, which are a pig to get. I don't know if you remember Group Canal or Drax the Dismemberer or maybe Slick Buster. Do you remember those ones? They are a pig to get.
Yes, I do remember them because for myself, when I looked at the trophy collection and I looked at what I did, so I did what I typically do on that game. And of course, listeners who have a great memory remember I have the platinum on this game. So for myself, I played through the game as normal, not really paying too much attention on the trophy list. Then after playing it, I thought, do you know what? I'll start a new game plus and I'll go for the trophies. And at that point then, like Phil said, these call to actions. I got a lot of them by default, but the only one I was missing, was Drax's. And that must have taken me a good solid hour and a half of replaying the same enemy fight over and over and over again. I changed the difficulty from normal, which I was playing on, to like hard, to try and make it last a little bit longer, to try and get it to happen. It took so many attempts. But when it does, you're done. It's not something that's not going to happen. It's just repeating the process for an hour and a half. And for some of the stuff I've done for trophies before, that's a drop in the water. That's small fry compared to some of the shit I've done before.
I have now got that trophy. But yeah, it was very difficult, and I probably spent around the same sort of time as you with this trophy, but I quickly sort of found out that the mobs that you need to basically dismember, you may need to get Drax to rip off their arms. They will knock down your team. So you can get them to sort of disable Glamora and Groot and Rocket, so knock them down. So basically you don't attack the enemy. You leave him, take out your team. You heal Drax back up, so he's the only one that can come in then on that call to action, and that's the way to complete it. But I only kind of figured that out sort of about maybe 40 minutes into trying it, and it still took me a couple of times to actually get it, because Star-Lord can still do the call to action, which is terrible. He just shoots the arms off. So you're like, I've spent ages setting this fight up. It takes ages for him to knock down Glamora. She's such a tank, right, in the game. And then Star-Lord just goes and shoots his arms off, and you just have to repeat it. But once you get it, yeah, it is a weight off your shoulders.
The question I got for you isn't so much to do with Guardians, because I will ask you that in a moment, but the question that's actually burning at me to ask you. Listeners who've been listening to the show for a hell of a long time, from probably a year ago, will remember that you've got two different PlayStation Network accounts. You've got a UK one and you've got a US. Now, your US one is the one that's your historic account. It's your one that you've had since PS3, kind of your main account. But your UK one has got PS Plus on it, right? So there's a difference. But when we were talking about trophies and you were totally anti-trophies, I was saying to you, why does it matter? Switch to your main account. Ignore your last trophies you've achieved, your Death Stranding trophies, everything else. Leave all those to the side. Start on the new profile and then make that your new one. Have you decided to do that yet? Or are you still thinking, do you know what? My US one, that's my trophy account. That's my look at my shinies over here kind of thing. What's going on at the minute?
Yeah, I'm very much treating the US account as my main account. So that's the one that if I'm going to go for a trophy on a game, and it basically is the seal of approval. It's the Phil Hoy stamp when I actually really like a game. I think if it reaches the 8 out of 10, the 9 out of 10, and definitely the 10 out of 10, I will go for the platinum in these games. If it's anything less, I tend to just miss it out. I don't just hunt the trophies for trophies. I think this is very much me saying, I've enjoyed this game, so this is why I will push for that trophy. And Guardians definitely hits those high highs. As I said, I do rate it an 8 out of 10. I'm currently working my way through the New Game Plus. There's a couple of trophies to go through. I'm trying to fill up the sort of collection of items when it comes to the Guardians. So that's what I'm currently doing in the game. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks, I'll be back with some good news, and I might have another platinum when it comes to the PS5.
That'd be very exciting. My last question before we move on from Guardians. So I played the game in January of this year, and at the time, it was too late for it to go into our Game of the Year discussion, but I gave it a kind of retroactive number 2 slot in my 2021 games, because obviously it came out last year. Where would you kind of rank this with your top 5 from last year? Any kind of idea where you'd put it, or if it would even make the list?
I think it'd probably make the list, but it wouldn't be that high, I don't think. When it comes to platinum trophies for PS5, I've obviously got Ratchet & Clank. I'm working my way through, and there's a couple of last ones, which possibly I might be back in 2 weeks where I have 2 platinum trophies for Death Stranding and Director's Cut, because that's very much copying over the old save and then doing the extra content. And I think I've got like 4 buildings to build, right? And I get a platinum trophy, but I just haven't got round to doing it. But after the news that came out today, which we'll be talking about in Medium News, it's kind of reignited my interest for Death Stranding, and I might go back and platinum that one. So hopefully, yeah, I'm building up the platinums a little bit more. And I do rate Guardians very high, and I think it would have made my top 5, but it wouldn't have reached that higher echelon because it's not a pure PS5 game.
Yeah, I think that's fair on what you're saying. I think for me, it was just that the story was so good and the inter-character dynamics were enough to really carry it to that number 2 slot. But I can see exactly what you're saying.
So I've got a question for you, Davey, seeing as you've been drilling me a little bit about Guardians. And I'm going for the trophies at the moment. Was there any that you struggled with outside the RNG-based trophies which we've covered? Was there anything in the game which you just thought, this is a pain in the ass to get?
The only one that was a real pain in the ass is the way the chapter select works. So I needed to get all the costumes. And the problem was, when I looked at the list online, on PowerPix. Bless you, PowerPix. You're an absolute god for us trophy hunters. You're the absolute goat. When it came to me checking the list and seeing what I already had, I was missing one on the chapter before the end. But I was also missing one right in the middle of the game. Now, the way the chapter select works is that when you travel to a chapter to collect that thing, it doesn't forward save your progress. So, say for example, I go to chapter 5 and I find a collectible there. I can't then load up chapter 13 save because that would be from my save prior to my run through prior to the one I'm doing right now. You have to play through from that point. So say you miss one in chapter 1, you'd have to play all the way from chapter 1 until chapter 13. So the entire game again. So annoying. Why can't it just like tick it off the list in the background and then you just move to the next chapter? That would have saved me about 10 hours maybe throughout my entire platinum adventure. Ultimately, I really enjoyed it the second time, so it wasn't a drag, but it was annoying. That was probably the biggest thing for me.
There is a weird bit in the game as well with the items that once you pick them up, it doesn't add them to your item log until you go back onto the ship and then have that conversation with the Guardian about that item. And I found that really frustrating. So that's the part I'm currently working through with New Game Plus. So, for example, I found the broken voice converter for Groot, and that came in, and I looked in the items, and it just wasn't there. So I went up and then had the conversation with Groot about kind of his background and wanting to understand what he's saying, and saying about how Rocket probably, just tells me what Rocket wants to say rather than what Groot's saying. And like there's a bit of background and it is interesting enough, but ultimately it doesn't slot straight into your sort of catalogue of items when you collect them. So yeah, there is some very frustrating things within the game, but I have been digging a little bit around and going on some of those websites that you've noticed, and there's lots of confusion out there of how you sort of conquer this. And a lot of people are saying that those problems are being patched in. So I don't know if the latest patch fixes some of the stuff you're talking about, Davey, but possibly I'll give you an update on the next show. Spence, you've been a little bit quiet on this one. I just want to come to you for a sec. And I know you haven't got round to playing the Guardians because obviously there's so many games to play at the moment. And with open world fatigue, with Elden Ring, and I know you haven't got to Horizon, but if you decided to gravitate towards that way, you're going to get killed, mate. There's so much to those games. Do you think you might want to take a break and pick up Guardians?
I think Guardians, after you boys have both rated it so highly, I'm definitely going to play it at some point. I'm also a massive fan of the Guardians and the Marvel Universe and just Marvel as a whole, just as a person. I just love Marvel comics, movies, shows, Spider-Man. But the game, it's definitely on my list. I'm going to be playing it at some point. I was going to borrow it probably from Davey. However, I don't need to now because I'll be able to play it a different way. And we'll be discussing that later on in the episode. So I think that about covers it, really.
I think you in particular would love this game. I think you really would. It would be exciting when we move on throughout the year and we come to our end of year discussion. We're talking about all the kind of games, we're kind of wrapping up the experiences we've had from this year, and we can kind of reflect on everything we've done for this year and last year, because obviously our end of year discussion will be about the games from 2022, but it's always quite nice to put shine on games that are a little bit older. And that's why I like what we do on this podcast, that it doesn't matter when it came out, like we give everything a fair shout, and when we come around to it, we're just normal people, right? It's just a nice thing to do, and to really shout out games that have meant something to us. I think it's a nice thing.
And it's definitely the type of game that needs some spotlight because I don't think the numbers were that high. And of course, we're probably not getting a second one considering all the changes that are going on with Square that we covered in the last episode. So it's going to be unfortunate for this series, I believe. But as I said, it's well worth your time.
So Spencer, what have you been doing the last 2 weeks?
Well, Davey, I've not been playing an awful lot. I've mostly just been busy, not been on my PlayStation. Been playing like a game of COD 4 every now and then, but that's it. Just because they're like 5 minutes long, it takes a second to find a game. That doesn't count. I haven't been playing it. It's just been biding my time when I've had 5 minutes spare. The game I have been playing, and you've been playing it with me, mate, is The Forest, which it came out a long time ago. We didn't get it for free on PS Plus, but there was a sale on PlayStation, and you picked it up for, I think, £4. And then, obviously, because I hope Sony doesn't listen to this, but we're sharing accounts. And if Davey buys a game or I buy a game, like we can download it and play it together. With only one of us buying it, it's a bit broken. Sony, shh, you didn't hear anything. Didn't come from me. But Davey bought the game. I signed into his account, downloaded it, switched to mine, and we're both playing it together. We've put maybe like 15 hours into the game, maybe less, maybe more. Our first day was messy. Our first day was very messy. But since then, we've learned from our mistakes. We've built weapons. We've found stuff. We've explored caves, explored the world. We got these blue fuckos and these weird mutant things with multiple legs attacking our base and just going and eating us and killing us. Game's hard, but very fun. How are you finding it, mate?
Well, I was going to say, do you want to explain to the audience what The Forest actually is? Because there's probably a lot of people that are thinking, what? Like, what even is this? Because I think the game came out in probably like 2018. Came out a long time ago, didn't it?
It did. Very popular game, mind. I'm surprised we're only jumping to it this late. But for those that don't know, yes, The Forest is a survival game where you're basically on an airplane with your son. Suddenly the plane crashes. You're sat there and you see some weird little cannibal fuckhead pick up your son and take him away. And then that's it. The game doesn't tell you anything else. You're on an airplane. You have to pick up stuff to survive. You have to craft. You have to build a house. You have to explore. And your main goal is to find Timmy, who is your son. We haven't done that. We haven't done that at all. We've been making houses. We got a freaking lake house.
We've been having a great time. Like, we started off immediately. We were like, right, we got to build a fort. Don't know why we thought that. We were just like, right, we got to build a fort. So we cut down all these trees and we just built this fort. Little did we know that the longer you stay alive, the harder the enemies get, and the more they get chucked at you. So originally our fort was great, and we thought, this is brilliant. We'll build some stairs. We'll build a nice fireplace. We'll make it look lovely. And little did we know that, like, day 7 in the game, our fort was useless. And we pretty much abandoned it straight after that. We wasted 5 days where it was easy in the game, and now it's solid. As soon as it turns night, we are running for our lives. We're like, bro, we need to build a temporary shelter. Just get out of here. Save yourself. Save yourself. I'll spawn back at the plane. Save yourself. And we're just doing that all the time because we fucked ourselves early on. But now we've built a nice boat, and the enemies don't like water. So we built a nice little boathouse. We got a raft. We got everything set up on this area, and we started actually doing what the game wants us to do. Going down in these caves, exploring, getting the background lore, and finding items and progressing the story on. So now with us actually moving it onwards, how are you feeling about this game? Because I knew I was going to love this. I loved Subnautica last year. I was talking loads on Subnautica. I love this genre of game, this kind of survival style. But you were very wary about going into this. Now that we're like, as you said, 15 odd hours in, have you been converted?
I'm enjoying the game. I'm enjoying it a lot. Every time I see you pop online, I'm like, it's forest time, baby. Let's get to our ocean fort. It's great. I do have issues with the game. I was skeptical to start it just because I've seen the game. I knew I was going to enjoy the game, but it's a game that I would play on PC rather than on console because I feel like just the movement's better on PC. It's just one of those games, like crafting survival games, I usually think are just better for PC, but that's probably due to me playing Minecraft in beta. But I'm enjoying this game. I do really like it. I have issues with it, the main one being the frame rate. It feels like it's capped at 30. However, whenever you do anything, and I mean anything, if you kill something, if you craft something, if you place something, for some reason, instead of 30, for like 4 seconds, your frame rate just jumps to 200 for no reason whatsoever. This game could clearly run at 200 FPS constantly. However, they've capped it at 30, and for some reason, whenever you perform any action, the cap is lifted, and then it reapplies. And also, anytime you go into your inventory or your scrapbook, as soon as you put it away, the entire world is engulfed in darkness for about 3 seconds, and then suddenly the sun turns back on. As great as this game is, I'm enjoying it a lot. It blatantly has its issues, and it's not a case of me being the bug hunter. This game just has issues, but I kind of expected it to, and none of the issues are game breaking. They're fine. I still think I'd prefer this game on PC, but I'm having a fun experience on PS5 playing with you, Davey, and I'd imagine you are too.
I've just been having a quick Google because this one's not been on my radar at all. And looking at some of the screenshots, it very much reminds me of a game called Rust. I don't know if you've played that, Spence, being a PC connoisseur when it comes to these sort of games. But it very much has that kind of look and feel to that kind of survival horror. Not so much survival horror, I suppose, just a survival game in general. Would you agree with me on that?
Yeah, it's definitely the same kind of genre of game. It's basically one-to-one, except Rust, I think, doesn't really have lore. It's not story-based. It's just you go in, there's loads of players, and you just survive. Whereas this game, The Forest, actually has a story for you to complete. It has multiple endings. It's got actual stuff to do rather than just survive and have fun. But all in all, you could just ignore the lore in The Forest and they're basically the same game. So yeah, I completely see where you're coming from, mate.
I think the thing for me is that this just got me really excited into what's to come, because the trailer for The Sons of the Forest is out now, which is the sequel, which is coming out in October, by all accords. Now, it is a PC game, but judging by what happened with The Forest, it's going to come to PlayStation very quickly afterwards. And that trailer is one of the best trailers I think I've ever seen. It's phenomenal. The graphics on that trailer are insane. They're way better than anything I think I've seen this generation. They're incredible. So if it actually sticks and it comes out this year, that will probably be one of the best games of the year. Because what I've seen in there, from what I've seen so far in The Forest, that is a game we need to watch as a podcast because it will be incredible. It'll be genre defining. Like in terms of The Forest, when you go to build a difference between a war and defensive war, it's the case of going into a menu and doing it. On this, on the Sons of the Forest, you see your normal wall, you go up to it with your axe and you cut the bits off it to make the spikes. It's just insane. It's just like the next level. It's just the next generation of The Forest. It feels like that. I'm so excited. I'm so excited already for the sequel, and we haven't even finished the original. Man, I love this game. I cannot wait to spend the next couple of weeks when I'm not playing the games for review on YouTube and spend the time with you, Spence, because I'm loving this. I'm loving every single minute we do some random bullshit that we decide we're going to do something that ultimately doesn't even matter, and it takes us 5 or 6 hours to do. Love every single minute. Fully back anyone buying this game. Dive into it. It's a great time.
Quick question. Is it cross-platform? And if not, why not? It very much seems like this could work with PlayStation and PC.
It definitely should be. It's not. So it is specific to your own platform. It should be cross-platform. And I think if this game maybe came out a year later, if this game came out on PlayStation in like, say, I don't know, 2019, 2020, then it would have been. But it's just not. It's just one of those games that, you know, they're a small developer. So it's kind of like an indie developer. And this game just built a lot of traction. It's had a lot of legs. It's been going for a long time now. So maybe in the sequel, it's something we can expect. But right now, at the moment, it's not worth them to go back and add that in, you know? So Spence, you were also lucky enough to be invited into the alpha for the new Warner Brothers Smash game. Can you tell us about that and tell us what it really is and what it's like?
Yeah, sure, mate. So I applied for the closed alpha for Warner Brothers Multiversus game. It's basically a platform fighter or a Smash clone, whatever you want to call it. I'd say it's its own thing. It's a platform fighter with Warner Bros. Characters, so that could be anything. It has Arya Stark from Game of Thrones. It has Jake and Finn from Adventure Time. It has Batman. It has Superman. It's got Bugs Bunny and the Tasmanian Devil. It's got Harley Quinn. It's got everything. Granted, it's got like 15 characters. It has literally 15 characters. But they all come from such distant places. Like, you would not expect these two entities to be in the same game, but they are. The Iron Giant is going to be in this game. The Iron Giant. Pacifist giant robot is going to be in this platform fighting game, fighting Tom and Jerry. How weird. But it's just it is a Smash clone. However, there's differences. There's no shields, there's no grabs, there's no ledges. There's just different options in the game. It's a free-to-play battle pass kind of game, but with the same kind of ideas as Super Smash Bros., where you're percentage-based, you build up your percentage by attacking people, then you launch them off the stage to kill them, and whoever takes 2 stocks first wins. It's just that kind of thing. I applied for the closed alpha. I got an email saying I was in. I was lucky enough to actually be able to take a part of it. I downloaded it last night and played it for about an hour. They also gave me 3 invite codes so I could invite my friends. So Davey, obviously I gave one to you, and I gave 2 to our friends from Cornwall who we know from Smash. So we're probably all going to be playing together soon. But I've played about an hour, 2 hours of this game. I was playing as Jake from Adventure Time. I don't know how I feel about this game yet. It's definitely worse than Smash. I don't think I even need to think about that. I don't need more time in the game. I just know it's worse than Smash. There's just less options in the game overall, which obviously means the combat and the ideas you can have and the execution is just different. It's just a lesser version. But obviously it's still in alpha. They could add so much to this game and just make it something amazing. And that's what I really want to see. So far, my thoughts of it are quite... they're not good. But I think with more time spent in the game, if I actually spend time with the 2v2 mode, which this game is focused about, this game's focused about doubles. I haven't tried that yet. If I spend some time in it, maybe I'll appreciate this game more. But at the moment, I don't think it's great. I think a lot of the options in the game aren't good. The only good thing I can give this game and compliment it with is that they've put so much care and thought into every character's moveset. Every character's move is a reference to something. Velma, when she crawls, they put the glasses in front of her and she's trying to find her glasses in her crawl. And it makes your screen slightly blurry. How cute. What a great little idea. Just those little things make the game really cute and like they're lovely references. But I think they need to do more.
I think that's a really good point. The doubles feature is what this game's all about. And I think that's where this game will have legs. I think it's been really clever that they've made that distinction that this is a doubles game. This is what this game is. And we haven't done that yet. But we'll have to wait 2 weeks until the next episode where we can really unpack that in full. I think it's about time that we move it on to medium news. Quick news. So for medium news this time, we're all doing accents. So Phil, you're starting us off. I want to hear your best Scottish accent.
Hawkeye for new. Quick news. Sony CFO says PlayStation won't put games day one into PS Plus because it would lead to lower investment and lower quality games. He also says the company won't match Gamepass simply for the stake of building a better brand image. Now, Spencer, I want to hear your best Geordie accent.
I don't even know what it sounds like. I'm not like you boys. I never watched Geordie Shore.
No, you know what Newcastle and all around there sounds like, right? That's Geordie.
Is it?
Why, I pet.
What was that?
This is looking like a shot straight away, bro.
It might be. I
It's
don't
looking
even
bad,
know.
Spence.
I don't know what it sounds like.
Just do Northern if you don't know what Geordie sounds like then.
I don't know what Norman sounds like. Bruv, I do not leave my house. That's what I told you. Accents is bad for me, man.
What, you don't know any accent ever? You just never listen to it. Everyone sounds exactly the same to you. Everywhere.
Never practice accents. I told you I've lost these twice already, and then I said I'd be terrible at accents. You boys went, great, let's do it. I've already lost 2, and you boys have just done this to me. You stitched me up like properly.
I thought that was an easy one because, as Davey said, right, you can just go "why I man," right? That's pretty simple,
What
right?
the fuck is that? Why I man? What does that even mean? What are they saying?
No one knows.
What?
No one knows what it means. No one knows what it means except for the Geordies. But we just give that to them because it keeps them happy. So nobody knows what it means, but we all know what they're trying to say.
Okay, well then I'll just go. Why, man? Sound. That's my thing. Alright, medium news, boys. Sony sold 11.5 million units of PS5s in the full year of 2021, falling short of the initial target at more than 14.8 million. The monthly active users and PlayStation Plus subscribers also dropped in January to March. In its earnings reports, Sony confirms that PS5 has shipped 19.3 million units worldwide to date, 2 million in the past quarter, whereas the PS4 has shipped 117.2 million units to date. Also, a little bit extra, I have the top 10 top sellers in the US and Canada for April. They are as follows. Number 1, LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Number 2, MLB The Show 2022. Number 3, Elden Ring. Number 4, WWE 2K22. Number 5, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Number 6, NBA 2K22. Lot of 22s. Number 7, Cyberpunk 2077. Number 8, Gran Turismo 7. Number 9, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. And number 10, Madden NFL 22. Another 22. What a horrendous list, actually. That is terrible. Big up Elden Ring, no? Davey, seeing as I'm being shafted, I'm just going to give you boys the accents I don't want to do. So, Davey, give me your best Pakistani.
Right, there's no way you can pull this off and it not sound remotely racist, right?
See, I thought giving you kind of Geordie to start off with was quite an easy one, right? But you've just gone straight for the midriff. You've got a big punch there for Davey.
I'm trying not to get another shot, so I'm just going to give the worst ones to people. I know, if one of you boys told me to do Pakistani, I'd quit the show.
Hello, brother! Hello. Hello. Hello, brother. Quick news. Ubisoft has confirmed that this year, to launch by April 2023, the Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora, Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, and Skull and Bones will all be launching by then. Nobody will care. Nobody will give a single fuck. But Ubisoft has confirmed it to us. So if anyone is interested, I hope you're happy. Now, Phil, I want to hear your best French accent. You're drinking a French beer? I want to hear that lovely French accent. You were speaking French earlier? It comes natural.
I've only
to
got
you.
one sentence in French. And we were talking about the certain je ne sais quoi when it comes to this beer, but I can't fill out that sentence with any more French. So I could probably go the hon. That's French, right? French enough? Sorry to our French listeners, but that's all I have. I have a sentence and the most stereotypical hon. Quick news. Death Stranding 2 just got outed by Norman Reedus. In an interview with Leo Edit, Sam Bridges himself confirmed that we've just started the second one when he was asked about his work with Hideo Kojima. It's happening. It is happening. And I cannot wait for this one, lads. Keep on keeping on. Now, Spencer, I want to hear your best American accent.
American. I can't pretend that I don't know this because I watch movies all the time and I play games all the time. I've heard it so much. But I can never tell it's different until I actually meet an American and I hear the twang. You know what I mean? Could I go like terrible fucking, I'm walking here.
That's a Boston accent. Why not?
You got it?
Bless. All right, quick news, and this one really is quick. A very quick congratulations to From Software. Elden Ring has now sold 13.4 million copies within just the first month of release alone. Well done, FromSoft. Davey, I was quite harsh on the last one, so I think I'll be nicer this time. Should be easy for you, considering where you're from. I'd like to hear your best Welsh accent. Proper Welsh.
Proper Welsh, but all right, I'll do a proper Welsh accent for you, but this is in the valleys, so we're talking maybe Ebbw Vale or maybe towards Bryn Mawr, and that's what we're talking about, boys. Medium news. Dead Space remake. We already know is coming out, but we now know when. It will officially launch on the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series and PC on January 27th, 2023. Now, Spencer, I want to come to you on this. There's been loads of footage going around about Dead Space Remake. Have you seen any of it, and what is your excitement level for this going into January?
I saw a lot of the kind of like the early on like showcases of this game. Like after they announced it, they did a little play test where they showed the environments, they showed a few animations, they showed stuff like that. And since I saw that, I've been sold and I've gone dark. I know it's a remake. I've played the original game, so going dark's a bit silly, but I don't want to see how they've changed the horror aspects of the game. I want to leave that to the imagination. I want to experience that firsthand. I don't want to see how they've changed it. My hype for this game is big. I love Dead Space. Dead Space is such a phenomenal franchise, except for number 3. Number 1 and 2 are phenomenal too, especially. I'm very much looking forward to this game, and it's a day one for me, with a collector's edition and all if they have it.
What about yourself, Phil?
Well, Davey, unfortunately, Dead Space has always been a game that I've missed. I have the original Dead Space, and it's on my shelf. It's in my back catalogue, ready for me to play. I'm half tempted, potentially in the future, for a Spoilercast from the past to bring this game back, because I really just need that excuse, that push to play the series. I would definitely be excited about this, and if this is true, and it is coming out when you're saying it's coming out, then I'm definitely interested in this game enough that I'll probably play the original and try and catch up with a little bit of the story before this goes live.
I know for myself, I'm on the same line of thinking as Spencer here. I've seen a bit of the footage, and it's one of those things where you've got to pull yourself away. You've got to make it like a proper choice. And I saw it playing, and I saw the gameplay, and I had to pull myself away because I'm like, I don't want to know. I just don't want to know. I care about this too much. that I don't want to be spoiled for it. I'm already day one. Like you said, Spence, this is easily a collector's edition. If I can get myself a plasma cutter or something like that in a collector's edition, I'm in there day one. I cannot fucking wait. And I know for myself, in terms of replaying this in the future, my YouTube channel is building towards playing this. So I'm going to finish off The Evil Within, move on to Devil May Cry, and then do Dead Space in ready for the new game. So I cannot wait. I'll definitely have played it before the end of the year. I can't wait to go back. I loved 1 and 2, and like you said, 3 is a step down, but I'll need somebody to join me on co-op. So hopefully you can revisit that one for me and take one for the team. I can't wait. I'm so excited, guys. So excited. Now, Phil, I want to hear your best Italian accent.
I'm trying to think now. I don't want to be too stereotypical, and I'm getting images of pizza, pasta, and then I'm thinking, the Mario Brothers, weren't they originally Italian on the show?
On the show, definitely. My son was watching it on Amazon the other day. Definitely full-blown stereotypical Italian, yeah.
When they're like, Mamma mia, a pizza ball on a pizza base. Is that Italian enough? Does that sound Italian? Probably not. I'm sorry for our Italian listeners. Quick news. As the resident... you thought I was going there, but I'm not. As the resident football fan on the podcast, I've got this one. So EA and FIFA, they've officially ended their partnership. FIFA will now be called EA Sports FC, as stated in a recent official post from EA. Next year, EA Sports FC will become the future of football from EA Sports. Now, Spencer, I feel like I've gone easy on you. And this is a language I've been trying to learn for the last 2-3 years. And it is solid. I was dreading Davey putting me on the spot and asking me to do this accent. So I want to hear your best Japanese.
The easiest thing I could say would be like sing a song in Japanese, but I don't want to do that. I could sing TK Unravel or something, but I don't want to do that. I think I'd be more like itadakimasu, which is thank you for the food in Japanese. There we go. We've all learned. Medium news. Multiversus is headed to EVO with a 2v2 tournament hosted by @WB Games or Warner Brothers Games, awarding to top 32 teams, and the prize pot for this tournament as a $100,000 pot bonus. Jesus Christ. So hopefully you were lucky enough to get invited to the closed alpha, just like me, and you can invite your friends, grab your teammates, hone your skills. And if you did miss out, there is going to be an open beta in July. Now, you need to act fast, as the EVO 2022 registration opens the 30th of the 5th. Davey, what accent do I want to give you? I think you'll nail this, actually. I'm going to give you one that I think you'll be good at. Are you ready?
Yes.
Jamaican.
Jamaican. Jamaican. The only thing I want to do is I want to do something with like Ainsley Harriott, even though he's not Jamaican. But I just feel like he cooks Jamaican food, and I feel like, chicken by spicy meat. Even though it's not even Jamaican, right? Are we gonna let that slide? He's cooking Jamaican food. Are we gonna let that slide? Do you like that one, Spence?
You're literally admitting it's not Jamaican in what you're saying, so I would not let it slide now.
Okay, all right. I don't want to get pulled up for that later. Someone saying that's great Ainsley Harriott impression, but it doesn't cut the mustard, right? So I'll do like Jamaica has a bobsled team. Jamaica has a bobsled team. There you go. Bit of cool run-ins for you guys. Medium news. Capcom is set to release multiple major new titles by March 31st, 2023. Now, this news comes from its financial results report for the fiscal year, which ended in March 31st, 2022. The company plans to release a total of 45 SKUs versus the 24 SKUs shipped in the fiscal year that just ended. A total of 37 million units are expected to be sold overall, with 10 million units coming from the new titles and 27 million units from catalogue titles. This is compared to 32.6 million units the previous fiscal year and 30.1 million units the year before it. So Capcom is on an absolute roll at the moment. Capcom's announced slate of upcoming titles includes Capcom Fighting Game Collection, Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, Capcom Arcade Second Stadium, the game that can't be mentioned, REverse, the game that can't be mentioned 2, the game that can't be mentioned 3, the game that can't be mentioned 7, Exoprimal, which really should be Dino Crisis, and Pragmata. Now, all of these are announced with release dates spanning over this same time frame. Let alone we think about what's happening in the Nvidia leaks, and so far those seem pretty true. Looks like we've got a great slate lined up for the next 12 months from Capcom. Now, Mr. Philip Hoy, we're talking about accents. And so far we've been sticking to countries. I want to hear your accent of a person. I want to hear your accent of Sylvester Stallone. One of the most recognizable voices in the whole of Hollywood. A star that's been going since the 70s.
What do I even know him from? Like, I don't watch movies.
Rocky?
It's very difficult.
You've never seen Rocky?
I've never seen any Rockies. No. The only thing I've seen him in is it Ultimate Beastmaster that we watched? And he's like the host of it.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
He was like the host of... Well, he wasn't the host. He just introduced the show and then the hosts came in. So he was on it for like all of 5 seconds, wasn't he? And he was just like, "This is Ultimate Beastmaster," right? And he just like, that was it, right? And just couldn't really speak that well, right? So that is my accent for Sylvester Stallone. Quick news. We are delighted to share the next-gen version of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. It's planned for release in Q4 2022. So see you on the path, Witchers. Spence, you did so well with the Japanese accent. I'm going to bring it closer to home. And I'm thinking somewhere in Europe. I'm thinking somewhere I visited recently, actually. I'm going German. I think it's a heavy accent. I think it's relatively easy. I think you should be okay with this one. So good luck with your German accent, please.
Okay, well, I know this accent is a bit mental, so I'm going to need to do one of my shots before I do it. This is going to take me down to 3 shots.
Are you thinking, while you pull that shot, I got some questions to ask you while you do your shot. Are you thinking going full Nazi with this, or are you gonna try and be a bit more sensitive?
We'll see what comes out my mouth, mate. All right, my German. Sein Faxenbrag.
That's just you shouting.
I don't know, I thought it was German, isn't it?
That was perfect. Playing enough Call of Duty over the years, that was exactly what I hear. What I hear when I throw a grenade.
Do you know what I would love, right? For maybe someone who doesn't have English as their first language, to do some impressions of English people. I would love to hear what that sounds like. Can you imagine what it... Because we just go for the most stereotypical things, right? When it comes to accents and kind of the sounds that come out. I would love someone who literally has no English, but just to try and do an English accent. And I'm sure it's like, ooh, a cup of tea would be the obvious one to go for, or something like that with a typically British accent. But it's interesting, right?
That's what Americans do it all the time. They're like, spot of tea. And they do stuff like that.
They always do like, all right, bruv. They always do like the London. They always go like London with it, don't they? They always do that on Twitter. Oh, bruv, and they just spell it all like just wrong, like it's all abbreviated. That's what the English accent is actually really like. It's not like spot of tea, darling. It's never like that. That's never what it's like.
You come down ends, get shanked. All right, medium news, boys. We have a new set of PS5 console covers joining the catalogue. We now have Starlight Blue, Galactic Purple, and Nova Pink, and they are all available for pre-order at PlayStation Direct. So, Davey, you're rounding this off. This is the final accent of the evening. And what do I want to hear? Chinese.
This is, if you met the guy, this is the most perfect impression ever. I used to work in a Chinese, and I worked there when I was about 17 when I first learned to drive. So I was about 29, maybe, every other weekend. And the guy who owned the Chinese, Mr. Wong, he never learnt my name, ever. So I used to go in, and he'd go, "Hello, boy! Boy? What you delivering, boy?" And that's exactly how he sounded. And I'm not even putting that on. That is exactly how he sounded. Medium news. Gotham Knights PS4 and Xbox One versions have been cancelled. The devs, when they announced this, have shown gameplay. Guys, have either of you seen this gameplay? It's about a 15-minute video. It shows Robin and, well, it shows Nightwing and Red Hood, the two different Robins from the past, adventuring out and solving different mysteries and beating up bad guys. Anyone seen this?
Yeah, I saw it creep up on my Twitter. I saw people quote retweeting it saying like, "Oh my god, this game looks amazing." And I thought, "Really? I didn't have high hopes for this game." So I checked out the trailer. I got 4 minutes into it and I couldn't watch anymore. I can't believe that anyone said that this game looked good. The animations all looked really slow and sluggish. The movement didn't look great. For some reason, I think it's to do with how they presented it as well. They had the characters they were playing as switching targets constantly rather than just finishing off an enemy. And the acrobats in between, like the acrobatics, they were so sluggish and just weren't clean. It just looked like an unpolished version of the game or a version of the game running in slow motion. And it just did not look good to me. And then the Red Hood gameplay, that's what made me stop watching. Because all it was just him shooting a gun. And it didn't look impactful. It didn't look fun. So far, that gameplay trailer just completely put me off that game.
I gotta agree with you on this. Like, I'm a massive Batman fan, and especially when we talk about the Arkham games, I think I was only saying last episode how they're some of the best games on the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. And then we look at this gameplay, and they've somehow taken the Batman Arkham combat, which is probably some of the best, maybe the best. It's amazing, actually. It's so good. They've taken that combat, and it looks like they've taken inspiration from Spider-Man, and then kind of tried to make it its own thing, and it just doesn't work. It just seems off. The graphics look like PS4 level. They're terrible. I think nothing about it looks impressive. There's just something missing there. And when you talk about the Arkham formula works because it's moody. It's really depressing. It's dark. You're driving around, but you've got power, and they don't. And it's just that moment where you just drop in, and you're like, fuck, like your cape just comes up, and everyone's like, it's the bat. And you're like, oh, you're going to sauce these guys. I didn't feel like I got any of that from Nightwing or from Red Hood. They're just like kind of chucking banter back and forth. You know, Red Hood's got guns, and they're like, they're non-lethal bullets. Because, you know, it'd be over in 2 seconds if he was firing actual guns at them. And it's like, oh, all right, fine. I mean, I'd love to be proved wrong, but so far from what I've seen, not impressed by this whatsoever. Phil, have you managed to check out this footage?
Yeah, I did see a little bit. I scanned through it quite quickly before the podcast. And I was going to make the point that you sort of covered there. It looks like a poor man's Spider-Man, but just in slow motion. There's nothing in that trailer that really interests me. And if they're expecting me to buy a collector's edition for a couple of £100 that I've seen going around on Twitter, they're having a laugh. Who's investing that amount of money based on these trailers? In the bin for me.
So that is the end of Medium News. Guys, I want to know who did the best and who did the worst. Historically, the last 2 times, we started with Phil. Spencer, you've been the victim the last 2 times. I want to come to you first.
Okay. I think my favourite, and it's a biased opinion, and it's just because of how funny it was your Chinese, Davey. Because I didn't expect the "hello boy" to come out of your mouth, and that blew me away. I thought I was in that Chinese shop that used to work at me. I was looking at Mr. Wong. I felt like I was there. For the worst, I feel like it's either you're Pakistani or I can't remember. What was your first one, Phil? The first accent you did? Was it Scottish?
Yeah, so I had Scottish, I nailed that. I had French. I had
Sylvester Stallone.
Italian.
Yeah, Sylvester Stallone.
And Sylvester Stallone. Those were my 4.
I think I was going to say you're Scottish, but I think actually the French, because you just said ha he ha. And that was it. Sounded like you were honking your horn on your car driving, but your horn doesn't really work. That's what it sounded like. I was like, oh, is that French? But obviously that's because you were limited due to speaking French prior in the podcast and not wanting to repeat yourself. So I understand that. But I do still think that might have been the worst for me.
Phil, you get the option to retort here, and then we'll come across to my opinion to really settle this. What are you thinking? What's your best? What's the worst?
See, I was going to be nice to Spencer, seeing as I've been pretty negative on his impressions the last 2 episodes. But my blood is boiling now after that dig. I thought my French was very good. You know, I've been over to France, I've sampled the local beers, and I've spoke a bit of French. And I thought that was on point. You hear a lot of honky-haws when you're out there. Next time you visit France, you'll know how on point I was. But I think my worst, I'm going to take it away now. I'm going to flip the script a little bit, because it's always been you, Spence. But I think my worst was Davey's Jamaican. Because it wasn't even Jamaican. You just sung a song that was in a movie about a Jamaican bobsleigh team in English. You didn't put on a Jamaican accent. You did 0 accents. And this is what it's about. You just talked about something that's Jamaican. You could have just done this. Right? And I'm doing the Usain Bolt pose for everyone who's on the audio listening. But we're talking about accents. There was 0 accents. That is the worst for me. And my best, and this might be a surprise for our listeners, was actually Spencer's Japanese. Because as much as we're doing accents, he did it in the local language. He actually busted some Japanese out. None of us picked up any other, apart from, I suppose, my French, which you put me down for. I actually spoke a little bit of French. You spoke a little bit of Japanese. So I'm putting you in top tier. I'm putting you in S tier. Davey, you're taking the L for your Jamaican accent.
Fair enough. I feel like you've had to pick me because it would be like a scapegoat otherwise. And the problem is, Phil, it's going to come back to bite you in the arse because your Sylvester Stallone was the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. Because the guy's been in the public consciousness now for probably 50 years. You should know what he sounds like. He sounds like this, right? Sylvester Stallone. He sounds like he's had multiple strokes. But he hasn't. So you could do whatever, and you could be like, Adrian, and it would have been fine, right? But you did nothing. So for me, that's definitely the worst. The best is actually Spencer's German. I think he went full Nazi with that, and I really appreciated it. It sounded like I was in COD World War II, and I loved every single moment of it. It was exactly what I wanted him to do. And he just went with it. He just absolutely went with it. He was like, do you know what? Fuck this. Let's just go. And it was like the energy was just up. I loved every single moment of it. 10 out of 10 impression. Best impression we've had on the show so far. Better than my Bulbasaur. Better than anything we've had. I love the commitment to it. 10 out of 10. Masterclass. Perfect impression. Keep that energy for next time, Spencer, and you might find yourself continuing on this winning streak. Well done. Phil, unfortunately, it means this episode you have taken the L. It's the way the cookie has crumbled today. Have you got any final thoughts before you take your shot?
Of course I've got a final thought, right?
Of course he does.
You're not putting me on a spot and I've got nothing to come back with. Davey, you have forgotten. I've got 3 shots to hand out here. And I could be cruel. I could be like, Davey, I want to see all 3. Bang, bang, bang. Because you've put me on low tier. But I'm still quite offended on the French accent. So I'm giving Spencer 1. I'm giving Davey 1. Let's all do one together, boys. Let's go.
Chin chin, guys.
Chin chin.
Cheers, everybody.
So now the shots are settled, it's time to move it on to Rumour Has It.
Kick it. You wake up with a rumor and you don't want to go. You ask if it's confirmed and they still say no.
Rumour has it a new Silent Hill is on the cards, boys, and is set right here in the glorious Isles of the UK. Now, Ascetic Gamer, previously known as Dust Golem, leaked these images on Twitter. This guy has leaked series that can't be mentioned loads of times in the past and has proven to be correct. Now, he's been talking about Silent Hill for forever, for years actually. Ever since PT, he's been on about it in infrequent doses, and nobody really believed him. But then he just thought, you know what, fuck it, I'm just leaking these images. What makes this rumor so tantalizing, so incredible, is that Konami, the publishers of Silent Hill, took these images down on a DMCA request, basically confirming their legitimacy. Absolutely insane that they did that, because it just makes it real. No one questions it at all. They all know it's happening. Now, I saw these images after they were taken down, thanks to a Twitter user called Mari. Now, I'm going to put their Twitter handle in the description of the podcast so you can give them a follow, because thank you to them to providing me with these images. Otherwise, I never would have had them. Thank you ever so much. Now, the images themselves show a woman with different parts of her skin missing and different messages on them. They show an apartment that looks really destroyed and run down, kind of like a hoarder's place. And they just show just these weird kind of images. Not an awful lot to go on, but enough for you to know that this is set in the UK based on the different text that's in the images themselves. Now, this rumour just keeps on growing, because Bloober Team, the team who run Silent Hill now, are also being rumoured to be working on a Silent Hill 2 remake, which is exclusive apparently to PlayStation 5, which has reworked puzzles, new endings. Apart from that, they're also working on multiple different Silent Hill projects, with apparently 4 different ones in development at the moment. Absolutely insane. It's crazy news. We're in a survival horror renaissance at the moment. Everything died off, and we went just down to the game series that cannot be mentioned, and now everything's coming back up. It's a great time for us, guys. Are you excited by these Silent Hill rumours? What do you feel about the new game set here in the UK? And what do you think about the fact that we could have the best Silent Hill, by the public anyway, in Silent Hill 2, coming to PlayStation exclusively? Thoughts to yourself first, Spencer. What do you reckon?
I mean, I've never played Silent Hill. I've never played any of them, but I've always meant to, because, well, ever since the podcast, I've been a massive fan of the series that I can't mention. I really wanted to say it then, but I held back. I think I'm the one with the most loose lips when it comes to that game. But ever since that, even prior to that, I've always wanted to play the Silent Hill games, and I never have. And these screenshots that I'm looking at, I'm literally looking at them right now. The 2 of them, the second and the fourth ones that you've posted, the one that's an apartment and the last one that's kind of a corridor full of like paper and stuff on the walls, they kind of lead me to believe that that's the player entering the room, and from their perspective, you're playing in first person. If that's the case, they're obviously following the same trend as the game that can't be mentioned, which I think would be a fantastic change for the Silent Hill series. These graphics, the look of that woman's face, it's realistic but also slightly cartoony. It's like it's its own distinct art style. It makes me really excited to play this game and the past Silent Hill game, to kind of delve into this series. It actually looks amazing. Graphically speaking, these images look awesome. It's giving me a reason to dig into this series, and I've always wanted to, and this could be the push that makes me. And then obviously, if I get into those games and I enjoy them, I will be all the more hype for whatever this rumor is. I'm game.
I think that with Silent Hill, it's a perfect franchise for us to revisit at some point on Spoilercast from the past, because Silent Hill 2 is as important as, say, the game that can't be mentioned 2 or the game that can't be mentioned 1. You know, it's the game that put Silent Hill on the map. It's Silent Hill 2 in particular. Like that's the one that everyone goes back to. That's the one where like Pyramid Head was introduced. That's the one that literally every single game from there onwards kind of goes back to and tries to recapture that same feeling that game had. That game was sensational. I played it at the time on its release, and it was amazing. I loved it. Very different from the game that can't be mentioned. Oh my god, I'm so close to saying it every single time, especially after like 5 ciders in now. At this point, I'm desperate to say it. It will be a great experience for us to revisit at some point. And so for me, looking at this, that rumor that Bloober are working on this is an absolute joy to me. Now, somebody who's also into their old school gaming, as I am, Philip Hoy, what do you feel about this?
I am a massive fan of this series. Not as much as the game that cannot be mentioned, but it was always there in the background. It was always a game that I played. I would say that I have the vast majority of the games that have come out previously, and I've enjoyed them all and played them all, and I would be well up for having one of these included in the next Spoilercast from the past, if the public wants to see us play those games. But looking down these images that you've shared with us, I think it's pretty obvious that it's going to be set in the UK. I think the most interesting part when I'm looking at the photos, especially of the girl, is the word Minger across her face. And I've never heard that word anywhere bar Britain. And that kind of like draws me in and says, tick. what Davey's saying there, that's correct. She's for the people that can't see the images, it's all got kind of negative kind of words across her face, like I hate myself, and now the word minger and things like that. So yeah, definitely, I'm thinking it's going to be Britain. But further down the list, we have a couple of photos of kind of like a room that's kind of like fallen into, you know, ill rapport a little bit. You know, it's all drab and dreary, lots of trash in the background. But lads, doesn't that look like the game that cannot be mentioned's engine? It could be straight out of either 7 or 8. 100% it looks like it to me.
To me, it looks straight out of the Dolby estate in 7. 100%. You go around that kitchen in 7, and that is identical to that. To me, it looks like Bloober Team. And I want to get something out here straight away, actually. Bloober Team aren't great, right? This is a fact. This is just a total fact about anyone who knows Silent Hill at all. Bloober Team, since they took over from the original Silent Hill team, which are the guys who made the first 3 entries, I think they made the Rumour as well, but I'm not 100% on that. And then I think from the 4th entry onwards, they moved on to kind of a different team. They disbanded it in Konami. Bloober Team have taken over, and no one's excited about Bloober Team at all. Like, nobody rates them whatsoever. These screenshots from Bloober Team are incredible. They're so good. To me, like you said, Phil, it looks straight out of 7 and 8, without a shadow of a doubt. I think the only thing that makes it not as impressive as the RE engine is the shot of the picture of the woman. Nowhere near RE engine levels. That doesn't count, surely. That's the engine name. Like, come on.
Phil said it earlier, and he said the game that can't be mentioned engine.
Resident Evil.
Do you know what? I'll take one for it. Yeah, I'll tell you what, the Resident Evil 7 and 8 look way better than this. Like, without even a shadow of a doubt. But this could be in alpha, this could be in beta. This could have been leaked months before we're about to see it. I will not be surprised if one of you guys in the next episode put Silent Hill in your predictions for a safe or a possible. I would not be surprised, because seeing these images, this is coming. For my money, this is confirmed. This is 100% confirmed. I would put my life savings down on this. This is happening. And I wouldn't be surprised to see it in first person, to see it capitalize on what 7 and 8 have done for Resident Evil, and to just make that bank for Konami. I will not put it past them. Do I think it's going to be as successful as Resident Evil? No. Silent Hill never has been. But I think it can carve its own space out in the survival horror space, which is growing so much over the last couple of years. I'll come down and do my shot.
Personally, after what you said this looks like not a step down, but it doesn't look as good as 7 and 8 of the series we can't mention. I actually disagree. I think this looks better than, not 8, definitely not the opening of 8, because the opening of 8 is some of the most beautiful graphics I have ever seen in my life. That one scene in 8 is beautiful. It's insane. It blew my mind when I started that game. But I think in terms of graphics, I think these screenshots look infinitely better than 7, on par with 8. The only reason I think you would bring it down is because it has a slightly more cartoonish art style, which you can see on the woman's face. But I don't think that's a negative. I think that's Silent Hill trying to stand out. And I think that's a good thing. If you look close at the apartment, that apartment looks stunning. It's so high quality, everything in there. Even just the shadows and the ruffles in the bags, in the trash they have in the corner. It looks amazing. Everything I'm looking at, all those things, all those pieces of paper on the walls in the corridor, all of them have their own distinct letters and wordage on the paper. All of it's unique. All of it looks phenomenal. I don't think this is a step down from the game that can't be mentioned at all. I think this is just trying to rival it. Obviously, like you said, it won't succeed in rivaling it, I suppose, or it won't beat it, but it will stand its ground, I think. If this is all true and it all comes to fruition, I think it will definitely stand its ground and cement its own place in the survival horror genre. And that's what I want. I know Silent Hill is a legacy game. I know it's huge. I've never experienced it and I really want to. This gives me the reason to. I am super looking forward to this if it turns out to be true, which, let's be honest, it's fucking true.
Yes, I was just about to ask that, Spence. So you're coming down on the side that this is true, same as me?
Bro, it got DMCA'd. It's true. It can't not be true.
What about yourself, Phil?
I'm going to bring back a classic. So I know we haven't heard this for a while, and I know we've coined a new phrase, up the wazoo, we say it every episode, but I'm bringing it back. I believe this 100%. Those images are too far along for it not to be true. How can it not be true if those images are there? It would just be impossible, surely. And the amount of interest, the amount of likes I'm seeing on Twitter when I'm scanning around, doing my research, people want this game. And they want it now. It's coming out, guys. I'm confirming it. It's not a rumour, that's real.
Does anybody want to be so brazen as to put a prediction that's going to carry forward into next episode about if you think this game is going to be shown at the Summer Game Fest? Whoever gets there first and says they will can still have it, but it means you've got 2 weeks potentially where things could change and they come out saying it ain't going to be there, but you're locked in. But you also get first dibs. Who wants it?
Yeah, me. Like Phil said, these screenshots are so far along, and we get games announced mostly by Xbox where they just show a title. They have stuff to show, clearly. And it's already been leaked, so if they want to reveal it, they have to do it close to the leak. Whenever anything gets leaked, it doesn't get revealed 2 years down the line. Well, I mean, sometimes it does. But in most cases, something gets leaked, and it's leaked close to the announcement. I think we're definitely seeing this year, and I would put it in my possible, I think, for Summer Games Fest.
Fair enough. So the only way somebody could get an extra point on this now would be putting it in their safe. That would be the only thing. And it would obviously be worth less points than you put in your possible, but that is locked in. You've got first dibs on that. Well done, Spencer. We'll have to wait and see. But listener, if you're interested in Silent Hill, if you're interested in what Bloober team are working on, please let us know. Write into the email, ps3trust@gmail.com. Let us know what you think about this project, and we will be covering this as soon as we hear more information. Now, just before we dive into the topics, it's about time we announce what the next Spoilercast from the past is. Now, I know you've been patiently waiting for Dino Crisis, but with me and Phil done, Spencer just round the corner, that episode will be with you in about a week's time. So what's next? I hear you cry in the distance. The birds flying away from the noise, the earth-shattering noise that you're all screaming out. What are you fucking choosing? It's been at least 2 months. Guys, what are you picking? Phil, I'm coming over to you first. What is your suggestion? Of course, as the winner of the last Spoilercast from the past, the pressure is on right now. What are you bringing to the table for the audience to vote on?
All right, Davey, I've been saving this one because I didn't want to bring it out too early because I knew you would go all guns blazing with Metal Gear Solid. And I appreciate that because I love that game. It has a special place in my heart. But I want to take you guys back. I want to take the viewers back. I want to take the listeners back to where it all began for me with video gaming. This is when I realized this was something special. I'm taking you back to Half-Life. I want to play the original Half-Life. I have never played it on the PS2. I was straight PC back in the day. But let's go. Let's go. Half-Life on the PS2. I think we should do it, guys.
So I can't play it on the PC. I have to play it on the PS2.
Yeah, are you serious? Could I not just play it on PC?
No. I want to play. This is a PlayStation podcast. I want a PlayStation experience. And part of it is that I've dug my PlayStation 1 out of storage. I've got that all set up. So now I can play Dino Crisis. I play Metal Gear Solid with the original hardware. Going now to a PS2 game. This gives me an excuse now to go back to storage, find my PS2, get that all set up, get that working with the streaming, and play an original, play a classic, play where gaming changed my life.
I don't want to shit on your plan here, right? But I played my PS2. My PS2 is right here. I got it here. You were talking about dodgy stickers on my PlayStation 1 a while ago. My PS2 is covered in them, right? I got Psyops, I got Time Splitter, SmackDown vs. Raw, Killzone, I got Unleash My Load on my memory card. I got it all going on there, right? My PS2 works fine. I've got all my stuff there.
So you're saying you've got all your stuff there, right? Mine's in storage, but I've got multiple PS2s. So my original PS2 that I played the vast majority of my time on was an American PS2. So I'd find it very difficult to buy an American version of Half-Life to play on it. But I have a PS2 Slim, you know, the really sexy, thin version of the PS2. So I've got to find that, wherever that is. I've got it. I bought it secondhand from one of the first companies I worked for in Caerphilly. I remember a girl sold it to me because it was up on our intranet, and she sold it me, I think I paid like 20 or 30 quid for it. It was like ridiculously cheap back in the day. And I opened it up and it had like Dance Dance Revolution in it. And I was like, what, trash game, right? I just wanted to like have it because it was like such a sweet console to have. So yes, that's part of the reason why I've chosen Half-Life. But yeah, as I said, Half-Life definitely changed my life and I would love to go back to it.
I would totally respect the choice. I mean, Half-Life was my first ever PC game I ever played in my life. I bought it as part of the pack that had Opposing Force in it. I can't remember what that was called, and maybe Blue Shift. I can't remember if that was in there or not.
It could have been Generations. So Generations had the original Half-Life and Opposing Force, but Blue Shift was extra.
Okay, so I think that's what I had, and I bought that on PC when my parents just got a PC. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I've never played it on PS2. I knew at the time that I was on a better experience on the PC than I was on PS2. So I'll be interested to play it on PS2. I remember that game really vividly. It's really sunk into my head, especially being a stupid kid and clicking the LAN option and not understanding what that was and being like, why is there no one else here when I was playing multiplayer? But not really knowing why, because I was a stupid console kid. It's all burnt really far into my memory. I loved Half-Life and Half-Life Opposing Force. So I'd love to experience it. That'd be a great choice for audience votes for it. Spencer, what about yourself? What are you thinking? What are you bringing to the table?
Right, well, I'll tell you boys what I'm bringing to the table. Before I say that, I'm going to say if I have to play Half-Life, I really sincerely do not want to play it on PS2. Mostly because I don't own a PS2. I will have to emulate a PS2 on my PC where I already own Half-Life and play it with an Xbox 360 controller.
I'll say straight off the bat, any of our games we've covered so far, we've all covered them in very different ways. I think if somebody wants to play on original hardware, that's absolutely fine. Somebody wants to play on PC, that's fine. As long as someone takes the middle. And I will take the middle fucking route. Alright, I'll be that dickhead who emulates it on a PC, on a PS2 environment, so that you, Spencer, can play it in its actual best setting, which is going to be PC. I will jump on that fucking spike for you. I will do that. Just remember that Phil's got another shot to give, and if I decide to give that to you, that's on you. Alright? Just remember that's part of the deal here.
Bro, okay, your generosity, quote unquote, is just because you can't figure out how WASD works on a computer game. And I know that to be the case. You don't know how to move when you play PC games. That's why you want me to take the PC mantle. I understand. I know you as a person. You're upstairs. And you agree. I will happily play it on PC. Thank you very much. It's definitely the best way to play that game. And plus, how could you ever be mad at that? I'm playing it on its actual original hardware. Where it's supposed to be played. You could never be angry. And it would be a perfect environment to play that game. And I would adore it. However, you'd have to beat my game that I'm putting up for Spoilercast from the past. And now, let me tell you a tale. I told you boys earlier today that I had a dream last night of us sat at the pub, pint in hand, and you boys were arguing for like half an hour about what our next game for Spoilercast from the past is. And yes, listeners, genuinely, this is the dream I had last night before recording this episode. I actually dreamt this. And the entire time you boys were arguing, I just sat there in silence. And then as soon as you'd finished, you boys had settled on some nonsense game from PS1 or PS2. I don't even know what it was. My brain probably made it up. And I just said, you boys are fucking idiots. And you were like, what do you mean? What? Why? And I said, we're playing Siphon Filter. And then as soon as I said it, Davey, in my dream, you went, Siphon Filter. Oh, what a shout. And then I woke up. And I know that was because that was in my brain. Because on Twitter, it's been confirmed that Siphon Filter on PS Premium is going to have trophies. What a better way to play the game. If that gets picked on Spoilercast from the past, that is my choice. I'll fucking platinum it. Fantastic. Come on. Easy.
Oh, Siphon Filter. What a choice.
Spencer, my reaction in reality is this. What the fuck? Siphon Filter? Let's fucking go! Yes, I'm so hyped for that. I've not played that game in fucking years. I'll be so happy to go back, taser some guy, see him burn on top of the fucking building. I cannot wait. Hype choice. Super hyped by that. But the problem you got, Spence, you're up against my choice, and my choice is Big Barry Bollocks up in here. My choice, Legacy of Kain. My choice is PlayStation 1, Legacy of Kain. We're taking it back to the classics, to Crystal Dynamics, one of the best games on PlayStation 1, one of the most important games on PlayStation 1 that shaped single-player games on PlayStation 1. It deserves a remake. It deserves to come back. It's critically beloved by the fans. It's about time, Spencer, that you experience the joy of being a vampire that's had everything taken from him and you building it up over the course of the game. Thoughts on that one, boys?
I literally know nothing about Legacy of Kain. All I know is I see it on Twitter at least twice a year of people talking about it. That's all I know. I know it's a beloved game. And seeing as it is a beloved game, yeah, I'd be quite happy to play it, to be fair. I mean, as long as it's shorter than 8 hours, yeah, bless. That's all I need.
I've just Googled it quickly because I don't remember it off the top of my head being a short game. It's almost 12 hours if you want to do the game. So yeah, let's hopefully that one doesn't get voted. But I don't know. We'll have to see because I don't really remember how long Siphon Filter is either. But preferably on a Spoilercast from the past, we want shorter games rather than longer games. But hey, let's see how it goes. Legacy of Kain, I did play it back in the day. I did own it, but I don't own it anymore. I've told this story multiple times. My father sold all my PS1 games because we had a CD copier and you could sell them and make money. Hey. And the CDs that you burn off were relatively cheap. So I'm having to rebuy all the games that I loved, and Legacy of Kain was definitely one of those games. So if that does win Spoilercast of the Past, I will have to purchase that from eBay. I don't know what it sells for these days. But last time I put a poll out on my Twitter, I regretted it because Silent Hill's 50 quid. These games are getting expensive now.
Well, I've already got it installed on my PlayStation Classic, and I own the game physical here on PlayStation 1, so you can borrow it off me, Phil, so no cost for yourself. So if I win, you can still play it on original hardware, and you can have my copy of Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. Spencer, you can share my PlayStation Classic, and we can experience it the way it was always meant to, except emulated. But, you know. Audience, it's up to you. You pick what you want. This poll will close in the next 4 weeks, as with all our other polls. The Dino Crisis episode should be out a week from the date of this episode going live for you. So I'll look forward to you hearing that. It's totally up to you, whatever you pick, and we will talk about it on the next episode as well. See how you guys are voting. Now let's move it on to the topics. Stop! Topic time! And here we are with topic 1, and we are joined by the one, the only, the Potato Chief himself. Lewis, welcome back to the podcast. They're going wild for you, as always, as they would do.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's good to be back.
At some point, we'll have to pay you. But the reason why we don't is because you are historically an Xbox guy. You are our Xbox expert. You're the person that we bring in whenever there's some Xbox news that we think is important to the PlayStation Nation. You're the guy that we pick up the phone to and we say, Lewis, you're needed. You know, your bat phone rings in your room and it goes off. It's like, it's just the Xbox. I don't know what the Xbox power on noise is. It's just like, oh, Xbox! And you're like, oh, shit. And you just go get it. You're like, hello, is there Xbox news? And I'm like, no, sorry, Lewis, it's me again, mate. Can we get you on? We want your takes on Xbox. And you're like, oh, okay, I'll be there now. Put the phone down, straight on the podcast. And here we are. So it's an absolute honor to have you back, Lewis. It really is. To bridge the gap between PlayStation and Xbox and just merge them up, this synergy, this kind of sexual tension that we share together as part of gaming. It is something wonderful. But the reason why we brought you on is we're going to be talking about the recent delays that have happened with Redfall and, of course, with all the other games for 2022. But first, Lewis, you've got yourself a PlayStation 5. You've seen the light. I want to hear all about it.
Yeah, I bought a PS5. It was pretty much spur of the moment. I was in a game shop, and they're called Game over here, not GameStop, but like they are in America. And I was like, do you have any PS5s? And they said, we have a digital one. And I'm like, oh, no thank you. And then I put my name down for the disc version, and then they called me about a week later. So I don't see why people are saying it's so hard to get, because I literally just got one because I had money, and I just wanted one. So it was pretty simple for me, to be honest.
That is incredible news. And welcome back, Lewis. Welcome to the PlayStation family, and welcome back to the podcast.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, I've been enjoying it quite a lot. It's a nice system, I must say. It is ridiculously huge, though, as you would all know. It's a bit obscene. It's very big.
When we look at the form factor of it, we're kind of split down the middle on this. There's me and Spencer who quite like it. I think it's a beautiful console, but Phil thinks it's hideous. He hates it. Where'd you come down on this one?
I feel like the digital one is very, very nice looking because it's symmetrical and stuff, but the disc version looks a bit hideous because it's got this massive like tumor on the side of it. It's not well designed with the disc because I got a conspiracy theory that they designed it without the disc tray at all and then realised they had to put one in the last minute because it just feels like they just stuck it on the side and like taped it with duct tape. It doesn't look very good with that. Also, I think it is a bit big. If it was smaller, it would probably look a lot nicer, but it is like, ooh. It's like, oh, okay. You get center of attention, I guess, which is what it wants to be, I suppose. It's almost as big as my TV, which is ridiculous.
So what you're saying, Lewis, is you agree with me. Thank God we've now got some harmony bringing you onto the podcast. Welcome, Lewis. Welcome. Finally, I got some backup, boys. This podcast can be interesting. Ooh, yeah.
See, I don't like that very much. I quite like to be in more of a gang-up style that we had going on, Spence. We're going to have to find somebody else. Maybe the listeners will have to reach out for like a little impromptu little thing on Twitter. Maybe see if we can get everyone siding with us, and then we can just keep Phil down a little bit. Just keep battering him down until he gets the hint, right? That's what we need to keep doing, until his self-esteem gets whittled down enough that we can say whatever and he'll just accept it. Okay. Like a battered wife or something. That's what we need to get to, Spence. We've got to just keep working at it. So, Lewis, what games have you been playing on your PlayStation 5? Since joining the nation, how have you been enjoying this wealth of content that we've got?
Right, so I've got 4 Platinums already. So I got Astro's Playroom Platinum. I got Miles Morales PS4, Miles Morales PS5, and Spider-Man Remastered Platinums. So, I mean, it's kind of cheating because I just copied my save files across, but I'm counting it. It's 4 Platinums. And then I also bought 4 games physically. So, got Horizon Forbidden West, which came with the console, Returnal, Demon Souls, and this one's for Phil, Death Stranding Director's Edition, which is... yes. That's probably the one I've been playing the most, actually, is, to be honest, is Death Stranding. It's really, yeah, you've got me, Phil. You got me interested in it. It's very weird. I don't know what this says about you mentally. If this is one of your favorite games, because it is a very, very strange game. But I am enjoying it.
I think you're flirting with me now, Lewis. You agree with my views earlier about the ugly PlayStation 5, and now you're bigging up Death Stranding for its obscureness within the gaming space.
Phil's seen straight through it now. Lewis, comparing the Xbox to this, honestly now, what are you finding the differences between the two consoles? Is there more similarities than there are differences?
I do miss Quick Resume. I mean, that's a big feature on the Xbox that the PlayStation doesn't have, but I'm hoping that's something they will add at some point. I actually like the PlayStation controller more than I thought I would, because I've never really been a fan of the symmetrical, aligned joysticks. I always like them off.
You like the offset sticks.
Offset, exactly. And I've broken 4 PS4 controllers, so I didn't think that this one would be that sturdy, but it's quite bulky, it's quite sturdy, it feels like a pretty decent controller. Before, if someone goes, what's your favourite controller, and they say PS4, I'll be like, nah, you're wrong, because they're not very good. But if someone says the PS5 is their favourite controller, I can see why you could say that, because it is pretty well built.
4 controllers. Man's a beast. What are you doing, son? What are you breaking? How are you breaking them? What games caused you to break your PS4 handsets? Like, I always arc back to that time that I beat Davey that one time on Smash Brothers, and he literally got my GameCube pad and smashed it against the wall. That was pure rage. So what game has got you to that level?
That was Destiny 2, mainly. It was just a lot of rapid fire, going, and then the trigger just decided not to come back up ever again. It just got stuck, so... Yeah, and the original PlayStation 4 controller I had, I think it was infamous Second Son, the nubs completely wore off as well. And then I started to get Joy-Con drift from playing Ghost of Tsushima on my last one, so... Or whatever they call it on PlayStation, just drifting. Like, the camera will just start going randomly like that when I was in the middle of playing. It's like, oh, great. Lovely. I'll just play this. I was like, put it down until I got my PS5 now, so I'm going to go back to Ghost of Tsushima with a decent controller now, so yeah.
That is some serious skills, my man.
Ironically, the only controller I haven't broken is the Joy-Cons for the Switch, which is supposed to be very easy to break, so I don't know how that's happened.
Yeah, that's wild. That is absolutely wild. I never use my Switch, like, undocked or anything, and mine are broken. So it literally makes no sense. It just seems to be just total luck of the draw, I think, sometimes. And I know for myself, like, I've only ever gone through... I always buy at least 2 handsets for everything. And it's very rare that one actually dies. I think I had one die on PlayStation 4 where... and it was quite early in the gen. I think it was my starter one that came with it, where all of a sudden the battery just wouldn't hold charge. And that was maybe 6 months in. It just stopped holding charge. And I was like, oh, okay. And that just went in the bin then. But outside of that, I don't think I've replaced through any of my DualShock 4s. And my DualSenses so far, touch wood, because there were rumors originally that that the pad wasn't, working very well with the analogs and stuff. I haven't encountered any issues so far. So hopefully it stays that way. Hopefully so. So what games are you looking forward to now that you've still got left on your plate? Obviously, you've got all these games there that you've already purchased. Is there any others that you're thinking, do you know what, now's a good time for me to go back and see something else? You mentioned Ghost of Tsushima. Do you think that's one that you're going to go back to?
Yeah, I've been playing that the last few days, Ghost of Tsushima. I'm very much enjoying it. Again, it's because I want to get the PlayStation 4 Platinum and then transfer it over to PS5 and get another Platinum, because I'm cheeky like that. Also, I was going to mention that I really enjoy the PlayStation Collection on PlayStation Plus. It's a very good feature. I've got a load of games now I've got a massive backlog to play on my PS5 now, and I don't think I need to buy anything for a while. Because as I'm a huge fan of Gamepass, as you know, but I feel like PlayStation Collection is very good alternative on the PlayStation side. I think it is very nice. Downloaded Uncharted, Days Gone, Detroit, God of War I already have, but I downloaded the digital version so I didn't have to swap the disc around because I'm lazy. Yeah, it's a very good collection on there. So I mean, yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing some of those. So it's a lot. I've got a lot to get through. I've got a list of about 10, 15 games to play, and I don't even know where to start really. I'm chipping away slowly at everything. So really, I should just find one game and just focus on it. But I'm not really sure where to even start really.
I suppose that's always a good place to be in, right? Having like lots of options. And I suppose that leads us straight on then to talking about Xbox and your current lack of options when it comes to this year. So this news is really shocking to me because Starfield, I got to say, I wasn't overly certain it was going to come out. Bethesda haven't really had the best track record of the last couple of releases. And I think, to be honest, if it's not right, then you're best off to delay it right into the next year. That's definitely the best solution. But then when Redfall as well, I just thought, oh my God, this is dire now for the rest of the year. How did it feel for you? And I suppose give us the rundown of what this means for Xbox in 2022, what they could potentially be doing. Do they have any tricks up their sleeve? Let's hear it all, Lewis. I want to unpack your Xbox brain and just seep in that beautiful knowledge that you got there.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously I agree with you. A delay is always a good thing. You don't want another Cyberpunk. You want something that's going to be good when it comes out the gate. But it is very frustrating as an Xbox fan that every year it does seem to be, next year's going to be amazing. Next year's going to be amazing. Next year's going to be amazing. It seems to be like the catchphrase of Xbox. And it is getting very frustrating. And also it is very frustrating that it feels like they've put all their eggs in one basket with Starfield. And now that's gone. It feels very barren and, not very hopeful. I have got a list of 21 games that might still come out this year, but the odds are that we're going to have maybe one or two big things maybe coming out. But it's not going to... It's not looking great. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. We're probably going to get Forza this year, which is nice, I guess. And there's a rumour of Gears of War collection. And there's also, we're finally getting Deathloop, even though you guys have had it for a year. But it is looking pretty dire, I'm not going to lie. Halo Battle Royale is also rumoured. There's a couple of things, but it's not, I mean, I kind of agree with you. I'm kind of glad I got a PS5 now, to be honest. So I have some stuff to play the rest of the year. It's not looking great. To be honest, I could just go back to Elden Ring, I suppose. I could just play that for the rest of the year, and I wouldn't mind, to be honest.
Well, I think you're probably taking it entire year to do every single thing in that game because it just seems to be endless. The more I kind of go off and go into a different cave or whatever, there's another 10 hours of adventure there. So you could probably make that sustain the rest of the year. Now, listeners might remember the last time we had you on the show, I was saying at the time that when it comes to Xbox, that I felt that they were mismanaging their studios. And that I felt that they've grown to such a large size now that it's too much of a job for them to be able to keep a close knit on it. Whereas Sony, even though they're quite a big team, it's been kind of gradual increases. And so it's not that much different to manage, They kind of already got everything kind of in place and it's all sorted. And I was saying that at the time because of the... is it the Inquisition? Is that what they're called? What that team called? That super team, that massive team that was supposed to happen, and they've just never released a goddamn thing. The Initiative, that's it. And that's the one that I was thinking at the time was this is just so mismanaged, because they had people coming in from all over, all different studios were kind of flocking towards this. Loads of like ex-Naughty Dog, like all big names from all over the gaming sphere are going there, and then they all started leaving because things just, I guess they were being mismanaged. Do you feel then that this same thing's kind of repeating, that this is just kind of the proof of what we've been saying? Because I think you were agreeing with me at the time that there's something that just isn't seeming too right about this.
I mean, as much as I don't want to agree with you on this, it does sound that they do need to organise a bit better. They have so many great studios, so many games in development. As I just said there, I've got a list of 21 games, and then there's another 20, 30 games that we know about that are coming in at some point, but there's no idea when any of these things are coming out. It's this they're not very. It does seem a bit unorganized, and like it's a joke that Xbox doesn't remember. It forgets that there's 6 months between 6 months before July that they could release games. They only ever seem to release anything in the last quarter or the last 2 quarters. And they got so many studios. It's crazy to me that we're still having this conversation about them not having anything to play this year. It's crazy. I really thought that we would at least get Redfall this year because it was meant to come out in summer. The fact that both of them are delayed is baffling. As we've said multiple times, it's a delayed game. Is better to delay something than just to release it broken, but it feels like you should have something in set up as a backup. I mean, the PlayStation, there's a rumour that there's The Last of Us 1 remake coming out, So even if God of War gets delayed, you'll have that to play this winter in theory. So I mean, it's a bit frustrating. As I said, we might get a Gears of War collection, but it does feel a bit barren. Almost like the launch year, there was nothing a launch either. It's very weird that they can't just organise the studios. I mean, I agree with you completely, honestly.
No, it's sad because I mean this podcast, as much as we're giving you a bit of jip now, you know, and I've been taking the piss a bit. We're all pro Xbox on here. We want them to succeed because ultimately it keeps PlayStation in line. You know, you don't want to have a brand that's running away with the competition because then they just start doing more shady shit. And we want them to be a strong brand, and you need competition to forge that strong brand, right? So we want Xbox to do well. Don't get me wrong. Like we actually really do. And it was really nice seeing the competition that was levied around Christmas time. You know, when Halo was out, before everyone realized what Halo had kind of turned into. But you know, when Halo came out, there was so much goodwill. You know, everyone was like really, really impressed by the beta for the multiplayer and stuff. Forza was kicking ass, so it was a good time. And then it just seems to the steam's just run out the engine a little bit. So I know we're going to go into this a lot on the next episode, where we're going to be talking about predictions for what's going to be shown in the Xbox and Bethesda showcase, as well as the Summer Game Fest. But you mentioned a list of games that potentially may be coming out. What kind of games you got in there? Any kind of big hitters? You know, if it's just Tunic 2, then no one really gives a fuck. But if it's something that's actually got a bit of meat on the bones, then I'd love to hear about it.
All right, so I mean, I got the list here. A lot of them are indie games, as you've said, so you're not super interested in those. So obviously Forza Motorsport is the big one. That's the one that seems most likely to be coming out this year, because that used to be annual, and then they started taking a gap, and this one is Horizon actually took it over in the cycle, so there was 2 Horizons in a row. There hasn't been a Motorsport in a while, so it seems like it's due. Then there's Deathloop, obviously, which you guys have. Age of Empires 4. Gears of War Collection. Halo Battle Royale. There's a possibility we might get Hellblade 2, because we've actually seen gameplay for it, so it's possible. That's, out of all the games which are like in the far distance, that's the one we've seen the most for. GoldenEye Remaster, which would be a lot of fun, but I'd probably play it for like a day and then get bored of it. Indiana Jones is still a possibility.
Just to stop you there, do you reckon that could come out this year? Indie?
I would say like 2%.
right.
Come out this year. Not likely. It could happen. I mean, there's some rumours that it's a lot further in development than people think. But,
wow.
From what I've heard on other podcasts, but I wouldn't bet on it, to be honest. There's also Contraband. That sounds like that's been secretly delayed to next year as well, which is the 4-person Grand Theft Auto heist type game made by the people of Just Cause, which looks cool, but that's been delayed to next year as well. And there's Pentiment, which was made by Obsidian, which is a weird RPG. I made a massive note of it. It's like it's an RPG without any battling in it, and it's about discovering a murder mystery in olden days. It's very weird. I'm not sure if that's going to blow anyone away. Grounded 1.0 as well might be coming out, so I mean that's been in what's the word?
Alpha?
Beta, I guess. It's been a bit out early access. It's been in early access for like 2 years. So the official version of that might be coming out this year as well, which is but yeah, that's really it, really. There's not massive things on here. There's like the rumoured Monster Hunter clone game that might be coming out, which is like a rip-off of Monster Hunter, which would be fun. But again, that's probably a 2023-2024 game. I think most likely is Gears of War Collection, Forza, and Halo Battle Royale. So the typical Xbox trifecta of Forza, Halo, and Gears strike again. So, yay!
Remember, you're meant to be the pro Xbox host
Oh, yeah,
tonight.
yeah.
Right, so you need to big it up
Let's
a
take
little
that
bit
back.
more. Okay, don't just appeal to the PlayStation crowd. We have listeners that, you know, play PC, play Xbox, and play PlayStation. So big it up a little bit, Lewis. Come on.
Let's just do that again. We have Gears, Halo, and Forza. Oh, yes.
Oh my God, that's going to be
Oh.
amazing.
Yes. It's going to be quite a year. Quite a year for Xbox.
I mean, it would be good if they did get Forza out this year, because at least then you can directly compare it to Gran Turismo, you know, and the fans would do that. You know, they'll be going wild for it, won't they? As soon as there's one screenshot or a bit of gameplay, you know, that's the first thing it's going to be compared to. And seeing as the difficulties, I'll put it, that Gran Turismo has gone through this time, I've always said that Forza's been eating Gran Turismo's lunch, and I've been saying that Gran Turismo needs to do better and up their game. But this seems like the perfect time to be able to get that out. It's just like you said, the danger is you got from now in May up until maybe October, 5 months of the year in just this draft. In just this drought is quite lame. But guys, I might as well hand it over to yourself. Spence, you've been very quiet on this. What are your kind of thoughts on this overall thing?
Bro, I've been quiet because anything I feel I could say would just be an insult. All these games I'm hearing, which is, 3 games, that might not even come out this year. One's a Battle Royale, don't like Battle Royales. One's a racing game, don't like racing games. Gears Collection, is that not just all the Gears games that are already out? I mean, I'm just glad I have a PlayStation. That's more or less all I can say on the topic. I wish Xbox could step it up, and I would really love them to. But they just have a habit and a trend of just announcing nothing and then announcing something, but not quite. They announce it exists, and that's it.
I think that's kind of their problem, though, in a way, is that, and Lewis, I'll come to you and hopefully, we'll see what you think. But personally, I think that what they've done last year, where they announced all this suite of games, and they said, right, here we go. This E3 or whatever it was called, I think it was just their conference, whatever. We've got 65 games, whatever they said. We're going to show you all this shit. And all it was just like a title or a CG trailer, the game name. And you're like, fuck does that mean? And when does it come out? And then all people do is they're asking questions all the time. When's it coming out? When's it coming out? And it's like, it's like with Bethesda where they're like, here's Elder Scrolls. By the way, we haven't even remotely started active development on that yet because we're working on Starfield, but we're going to tell you about it 10 years in advance. It's like, bro, come on, man. Like, you could keep this so then you're not getting people thinking, fucking hell, where is everything? But I suppose it's a double-edged sword, right? Lewis, what do you think about their current strategy that they've been on where they're giving you all, they're spouting it all out? Like Spencer said, they're kind of shouting about stuff that's coming out, but then it doesn't seem to materialize. Do you think they'd be better off going quiet and then coming out with something when it's kind of ready to go, so we're not all then thinking, what's going on?
I mean, they're damned if they do and damned if they don't, really, in this situation. I feel like the stigma that they have is Xbox has no games. I mean, that was the thing we've heard for years and years and years and years. So they're like, oh yeah, we have no games? Here's all our games for the next 10 years. Like, okay, great. But we still have that situation because they haven't released anything or they're struggling to release things. It's as I said earlier, it is the constant next year will be great. Next year, the year after that will be great. I mean, 2023 on paper sounds absolutely amazing, but we said that last year and I said that the year before. So it's frustrating, honestly. As you said last year, we had an exclusive every month for the last 5-6 months of the year, and it was like, oh, this is great. We're doing really well here, and then suddenly it's just like, nope, that's it. We're out of exclusives. You have to wait now. As I said, they put all their eggs in the Starfield Redfall basket, and now that's been delayed. They had like no backup, really. I mean, that's the frustrating thing. I feel when Activision come in, they should, in theory, have enough games to be able to cover cover these gaps. But again, that's still down the line. That's what the problem is. It's always further down the line. It's always pushing it, kicking the can down the road.
And I suppose the one thing is out of their hands, which is the Stalker 2 delay. That was just unfortunate. That was the war in Ukraine which put that off. So they would have had a game around about now, I think. I think it was delayed a little bit, wasn't it? But it wasn't delayed by far, by only by a few months, wasn't it?
It was delayed from March to December, so it was meant to be out December, the delay. And there's also Atomic Heart is a similar looking game, and I think that's also been delayed due to that as well.
That's two games that I'm actually genuinely interested in. So it's a little unfortunate that they've been delayed, because I would have been quite interested to see if I could possibly play those at some stage, maybe either on PC or on one of my older Xboxes.
Phil, before we hand it over to Lewis and get his ideas about what they could potentially do to kind of salvage the rest of the year, see if he's got any kind of quick fixes for him. What are your thoughts on all this, Phil?
It's a difficult one for me, because I think I made this choice early doors. I sided with PlayStation because I've always been a PlayStation guy. But as I just alluded to in my last back and forth with Lewis, I do have a few Xboxes, right? I have the 360 and I have the previous generation Xbox as well. But did I play them? Did I fuck? And it's just carried on. And this is why I haven't bought the newest Xbox, because there's just no need. There's no games there for me to, spend that money, right? I see a lot of people throwing it around on Twitter at the moment. It's a $500 paperweight that's just sitting there doing nothing next to your ugly PlayStation 5.
That's a fair point. Because a lot of people, they'll come out on Twitter, right, and they'll do that annoying thing where they'll come out with some kind of criticism on something, and they'll be like, I own both consoles. Like, as if that makes you like, oh, sorry, I didn't realize, you can't be a toxic fanboy when you own both, right? Like, somebody would come out, they'd be like, fuck Xbox, it's a load of shit, I fucking hate it. And they'd be like, by the way, for all you Xbox, I own an Xbox. It's like, yeah, good one, mate. Nice one. You just wasted 500 quid just so you can have fucking points on Twitter. Good fucking work. And that always pisses me off.
I mean, I have both consoles, so my opinion is more valid. Just
and that's exactly why we got you on the show, Lewis. Because we're slowly, the longer this podcast goes on, we're morphing you away. We're saving you from the hell that you were in, the literal hell that you were in with Xbox. And we've given you that sweet taste on this podcast. And now you're like, I gotta suck at that teat. I gotta get that sweet nectar in me, baby. And you're just coming in, and we're slowly getting you, just rubbing it in. And now you're gonna come back and it'll be 6 months' time, and next thing you know, we'll need to find a new Xbox guy, because you'll be in there with full PlayStation gear and you'll be on the podcast. It's just a matter of time. We're slowly gonna morph you in. So, Lewis, what are your kind of top tips for Xbox? What can they do to salvage the rest of the year? Do you think it's all going to hang on this showcase they're going to do in the next month?
Oh, totally. This is like the make or break situation right here. If they have anything for this year, they need to show it now, and they need to start putting some dates on some stuff, because I'm not the only Xbox fan who's frustrated by this situation. There's a lot of us who are fans of Xbox but are fed up of hearing the same old excuses. As I said, I have a massive list of games that could come out this year, so it's possible they could have some stuff set up, but it's how much they relied on Starfield and how much they relied on Redfall to hit this year, how much they put their eggs in those baskets and didn't have anything. I'm really hoping they have stuff planned. I'm really hoping that we're going to go into this showcase and then we're going to have a better view of the rest of the year, and it'll be all happy, but. I don't know. I really don't know. I really hope. I'm like, fingers crossed. That's all I'm gonna really say about it. Forza will be good, but is it gonna be the game of the year? Is it gonna be amazing? Is it gonna be like the second coming of Christ? Not really. No, it's just a racing game, as Spencer said. It'll be good, but if that's all we're getting this year, it's gonna be very, very frustrated, and we might not even get that. So,
Lewis, I've got a quick question before we close you out, and thank you for all your input so far in the show. It's been super valuable because a lot of the time, a lot of our listeners will just hear our biased views on Xbox, but hearing it from the horse's mouth tonight has been very informative, and it feels like you're pretty much on our side with everything, which is very nice to hear. I just want to ask you about PlayStation Plus. Because I'm not a massive fanboy of this. Obviously, Davey, he's a massive apologist for this service. He absolutely loves it. He thinks it's the best thing since sliced bread. Is that something you're going to be subscribing to? And at what tier are you going to be subscribing to? And then just a caveat to that, did you subscribe to Xbox Games with Gold? Because I just looked those up for May, and there's not a lot there, is there? Unless you love Viva Pinata.
What? I didn't know that was on this. Oh, I'm definitely going to get this month. I have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which has Xbox Gold included, and it also has PC Game Pass included, and it also has cloud streaming. So, yeah, I have Gold, but as you said, it's rubbish. Game Pass is great. Gold is terrible. They need to kind of fix that. Whereas PlayStation Plus, I feel basic PlayStation Plus with the collection and your monthly game is pretty decent. I had FIFA this month, which is great for me because I love FIFA, and I didn't get around to buying it this year, so I've just got that to play, which is like cool. The new tiers, I'm not sure honestly how I feel. You've got a couple of good exclusives coming, but it's not day and date, so I like the list goes. Oh, Returnal, I bought that. Spider-Man, I bought that. It's just like, oh, okay, I already have most of the games on the middle tier, and a lot of I don't know. The highest tier is PS3, PS1, and PSP, right? Yeah. I think I would stick to the bottom tier of PlayStation Plus at the moment because I've already got so much to play with the PlayStation Collection and the games I've bought. Yeah, I think honestly I'll stick to the lowest tier because they're still pretty decent with the lowest tier. Yeah.
You are speaking my language, Lewis. I'm not interested in the higher tiers because I have the biggest back catalogue ever, right? It's behind me. It literally spans the ceiling. And have I played half these games? Probably not, right? I got to get through them at some stage in my life, and now's probably not the time to be doing it, but I don't need any more games. But just to interject a little bit, you said you've played FIFA. Have you had a chance to play Tribes of Midgard? Because out of the offering this month, that was the one that stuck out to me the most, and us boys need to jump on it at some point. I don't know if it's 3-player, 4-player, but it'd be lovely to have you on if we do an evening.
Yeah. I've downloaded it, but I haven't played it yet. So, but yeah, that'd be good. Maybe play some Ghost of Tsushima at some point because I've been getting back into that. I hear the boy play for that. It's pretty
hell
decent,
yeah,
so.
hell yeah. Now, you guys were talking about the PlayStation Plus collection. Seems like a perfect time to move it on to our final topic, which is, of course, talking about the recent news that we've had with PlayStation Plus collection. Now, Lewis, it's been an absolute joy to have you back here. I've really enjoyed every single minute of it. And as we said, we're PlayStation guys. Of course we are. But I always try, and I think we always try, to take quite a balanced viewpoint when it comes to the console war. And when they're doing well, we'll be the first ones to shout about it and say they're doing a great job. And when they're not, the inverse. So it's quite nice to see that we got quite a balanced viewpoint with where you're coming at from your perspective on the Xbox side. So it's been an honor to have you back here, and I'll be looking forward to you coming back in 2 weeks' time.
Pleasure is all mine. I really enjoyed being on the show. As you know, I am the Xbox guy, but I have owned every single PlayStation, and I am still a fan of PlayStation. It just, at this moment in time, I'm mainly playing on the Xbox, but I still appreciate what PlayStation do, and I do enjoy talking about PlayStation and listening to your podcast when I get a chance. Also, I'm close to 5,000 subscribers, so please come subscribe to me on YouTube.
Of course. Yeah, please do. If you like wrestling, and you're trying a lot of new content now with your tier lists and your different reaction videos to different things, it's awesome to see. So if you are on YouTube and you like wrestling in particular, please check out Potato Chief's channel. It is going to be in the description of the podcast. Make sure to go on there. All the socials, everything for Lewis are all in our description. Get on there, have a check out, subscribe to the channel, because we are on the drive to 5K for Lewis. So let's see if we can get it done by the end of the year.
Woo!
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you having me on.
Thank you, Lewis. So here we are with the final topic of the show, and my God, this is a doozy. We are talking about the PlayStation Plus collection. We're talking about PlayStation Plus is 3 tiers, Essential, Extra, and Premium, and we have had a view, a little sneak, a little peek behind the curtain of what we are to expect from this service. And by God, it is a massive list. Now, to save you guys from committing suicide while I list every single game off, I'm going to put a link to the list in the description of the podcast. Take a little look, see what you think. Spencer, I'm coming across to you first. What do you think about the games that have been announced as part of the collection?
What I'll say is, these games, namely the first-party games that they've announced, Christ, man, what a list. It's phenomenal. It's huge. It's extensive. It's more games than I could play in the span of 5 years. However, as amazing as this list is, it pisses me off that I own so many of them. So many of them. Because there's a lot of the games here that I own. Namely, there are a few games I bought with the purpose of platining them, which are like Gravity Rush Remastered, Gravity Rush 2. I bought those. And now I'm getting them. Because I know I'm going to go premium, which means I'm going to have access to this list. And now it's just, I don't regret the purchases, but at the same time, I never had to make them. It's a shame. I'm glad I bought them because I'd like to support the developers. And Gravity Rush, to me, is phenomenal. I played it on the Vita when I had a Vita. I loved it. It was phenomenal. And all the other games on this list, bruv, we're getting Knack. I'm not playing that. We're getting Little Big Planet 3. Sick. Loco Roco Remastered and Loco Roco 2. I love those games on the PSP. Honestly, they're such mindless fun. I bet they're well easy platinums. I'd adore that. Medieval, I've wanted to play that for ages. I know you platinumed it ages ago. I meant to lend it off you, but I never did. Now I don't need to, because I'll get it from this. Boys, do you know what game I've just seen on this list? I now have another way to play The Last of Us 1. Oh, baby. What a great day to be alive. This list is insane. There are so many phenomenal first-party games. And I feel if someone's just getting a PS4 or PS5, you do not need to buy games. This list will keep you busy for years to come, especially seeing as they're saying that they're going to be adding more games every month or like bi-monthly or however long. This list is going to continuously grow. Gamepass is quaking. This list is mental. I feel like I never need to buy a game again. I'm baffled. This list is too good. I'm looking at it and every time I look at it, it's better. I can't believe it.
Phil, you're very much more of a skeptic when it comes to PlayStation Plus, and in terms of free games that are offered as part of a service, you're very much the negative point to mine and Spencer's positivity. How are you feeling when you look over this list?
Yeah, I'd agree with you, Davey, and I think you've already come to the conclusion I'm going to continue on that negative streak. And it's not just me being contrary, it is me being a game collector. I'm looking down this list, and I'm thinking, I own this one. I own this one. I own this one, 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 and this one. And then I'm looking at the rest of that list. There's just nothing for me. But, and this is a big but, not everyone listening to this podcast, not every PlayStation owner out there has the back catalogue that I have. So for them, I can see this being incredible, right? And I'd echo everything that Spencer's saying. There is an incredible list of amazing standout games there. If I didn't have the collection I had, there's the money. It'd be that gif or that meme that goes out of Fry from Futurama, take my money.
I think that's a really good point. And I mean, for me, when I looked at this list, when this news got announced, and it obviously, you know what happens with this podcast, we're fortnightly. So this happened a week ago, this came out. And when it came out, I was in chat to the boys, and I was popping off. I was looking at the list, and I was like, oh my God, they got this. Oh my God, they got this. Oh my God, they got this. Oh my fucking God, they got this. And that hasn't changed, right? That has not changed for me from where I was a week ago to where I am now. I think this list is the most impressive list of games I think I've ever seen across any subscription service. I'm baffled by the list we got here. Now, the vast majority of these games I own. However, You think about this being a $99.99 per year subscription. Ghost of Tsushima cost me $70. That pretty much pays for itself. One fucking game from PlayStation Studios themselves that they've released pays for the subscription for the year. Let alone the fact that you're getting the third-party partners, Ubisoft Plus, which have just been announced, which is bringing 24 titles and day-in-date Ubisoft launches. So if you're a Ubisoft fan and you like your Assassin's Creeds, whoa, you're getting them day one. You're getting them on the fucking day they come to the platform. It's insane. It's actually insane value. It's fucking cracked. I cannot believe it. Like, for me, I look over this list. I have not played Death Stranding Collector's Edition, the Director's Cut. I haven't played it yet. I get it. Awesome. I haven't played Loco Roco since I had a PSP. And I get to play that. And that's been on my fucking hit list for fucking years. Patapon. I fucking adored Patapon on the PSP. I get Patapon 1 and 2 with full trophy support, which I never had. Bro. For fucking free. For 70, like, how much do I pay for a year for PlayStation Plus right now? 40 quid. So I pay, with my hack I put out last time, I pay an extra 45 quid. And I get access to all this stuff. It's a fucking no-brainer. Like you guys are saying, if you're new to the service, if you've not been part of PlayStation Nation for a long time, you're an idiot if you don't subscribe to this. You're just fucking idiot. And if you've been in this for a long time, there's still reason for you to do it, and you have to weigh that up on an individual basis. For me, there's enough here to give this value. I was so excited by this, and let alone the fact that we got so much more to talk about. We're just talking right now on the PlayStation 4 games. You wait, boys. You wait to see my excitement when we talk about the remasters coming from PlayStation 1. Holy shit! I got so much fucking excitement to talk about on this. I'm so fucking pumped. I cannot stop swearing. I am on it, boys. I'm so fucking excited. I'm gonna fucking burst. Oh, so hyped. Phil, bring me back down to earth.
Well, I almost wish I was on your level. And I kind of wish we still had Potato Chief on from the earlier topic because he's just bought a PS5. So he won't have the big back catalogue that I have. So he'd be looking down that list, and I know he's gone out, he's put a bit of cash down, and he's bought quite a few games. He could have saved himself some moolah by just waiting a little bit. Bought a couple of games to tie him over until this releases. Because that list is extensive, and there's some big, big hitters in there.
That's very true. That is very true. If you're coming into this and you haven't bought a single goddamn thing, you're going to get way more value out of this than somebody who hasn't, right? And it's the same way I was thinking about this with the Forest earlier. Like, we've just bought the Forest now. I paid £5 on sale. That's probably coming to PlayStation Plus next month. Like, I guarantee it. But that doesn't matter. I've had my fun with that game, right? I've played it already, and I've had a month in front of getting it for free. And that's always the price you pay when you get to subscription services. And yes, if I hadn't have played God of War, if I hadn't have played Until Dawn, the Uncharted trilogy, Wipeout, Resogun, Jesus Christ, my Spider-Man, Infamous, Christ, even just Knack, right? If I hadn't played any of these games, yes, I'd get them all for free right now. But I enjoyed my time with that when I played them years ago, excluding Knack. Do you wait and not spend a single penny, or do you enjoy it while it comes out? And for me, and I think for the majority of the PlayStation owners, we'd prefer to pay for our content when we get it and enjoy it. And for those that come in later, they get more value, but that doesn't take away from our brand, right? You got this ability to go back whenever you want to, but you can still be in the conversation at the time when it's relevant. Like, if you go on Twitter now and you're like, oh, guys, Knack is cracked. Knack's the best thing I've played ever in my life. No one's going to listen to you, right? You're not going to be on Trending, and it's not going to come up anywhere. But if you're talking about God of War Ragnarok when it comes out, day one, right, and you've bought that game and you're talking about it, it's going to be on Trending. Everyone's going to be talking about it. They're all going to be talking about, like, how good Kratos is, or have you thrown the axe against a tree? Have you seen what happens? Whereas no one's going to care if you've, like, oh, I just did square, square, triangle, circle with my Patapons and made them just beat this army up. No one's going to give a shit, right? But at least you get the chance to experience that later. But guys, there's a lot more to this than just the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games. We've also got the classic games, which we've had a sneak peek at as well. Now, this is definitely more in your wheelhouse, Phil, especially when it comes to classic games. So from PlayStation Studios, and this is original PlayStation and PSP games, so games which have not been touched in any single way, we got Ape Escape, Hot Shots Golf, IQ, Intelligent Cube, Jumping Flash, Siphon Filter, and Super Stardust Portable. And from third parties, we got Mr. Driller, Tekken 2, Worms World Party, and Worms Armageddon. So from those games from the classic catalogue from PlayStation and PSP, any of those tickle your fancy? Any of those really make you think like, ooh, I could pay that extra amount to play it again?
Okay, so the original PlayStation came out in 1994, as we all know. So yeah, through my calculations, that's 28 years. That's a long time. So to be able to play them on the newer hardware, there is some appeal there, but I don't think that's enough for me to push me to want to subscribe to that higher tier.
Now you've found yourself in this bit of a rut where you're like, oh, I'm going to get the trophy for this. I'm gonna suckle on the trophy teat of Davey and Spence. I'm going to go for Guardians of the Galaxy trophy. I'm going to go for this. What if I told you, Philip Hoy, these classic games are getting fucking trophies? What the fuck? Woo! I'm popping off, boys. I got fucking mental. Woo! It's happening. It's fucking happening. The thing I've been saying about for fucking months. Since we got this announcement where I said, you got to get the trophy hunters on stage. You got to get them on side. It's happening. Trophies are coming to Siphon Filter. That's the first to be announced. Oh my god. I'm so fucking excited by this. This is the biggest news out of it all for me. Fuck what's coming in the past. Fuck what's coming in the future. Give me trophies on all games and I'm licking that shit up. I'm on it. Oh, baby. Give me those fucking trophies. Oh, baby. I can't fucking wait.
So I'm sorry, Davey. I'm going to bring you back down to earth. And excuse me, because it'd be very easy to get sucked into this hype that you're emitting, because I can feel it. I know you're all the way in a different country. I'm in England. You're in Wales. I can feel the heat coming from Wales at the moment. I'm going to need to put on some suntan lotion because it's burning up in here how much heat you're emanating from your hype. My question is, at what level are these trophies going to come in at? And this was something I think came up in a conversation earlier. I'm going to give Spencer credit for this, because if the platinum is just to complete the game, then it's not worth my money. But if the platinum is on the same level as we get with a PS5 game, PS4 game, PS3 game, then yes, there's some interest there. And potentially, you've got my money. Because I would find that very, very appealing. It'd be very hard to think, we've got X game for the next Spoilercast from the past. Do I play it on my original hardware? Or do I play it on my PS5? Very easy to stream. And I get trophies on it.
So what you're asking is, would the fact that if it's an easy trophy, would it devalue it? My answer to you is no. Because it's fucking old. It's old. It doesn't matter. The fact is, I was really tempted to go back and play through The Walking Dead again. Because I've got it on my Vita, and I got the platinum on my Vita. And I know that if I play it on my PlayStation 5, I'll get another platinum. It's very tempting. It's so tempting. And the problem is, lads, I can't do it because I'm on Platinum 99. So my next platinum is 100. I cannot do a shit game. I can't go and play Goat Simulator. I can't play Chickens on the Run. I can't play any of the games that Spencer's been playing to get platinums. I cannot do it. I need to play something that's worthy of 100 platinums. And before I bring on to getting your kind of theories on what I should do, I want to hand this over to Spencer to hear his hype, because Spencer loves trophies as much as I do. What do you think about this, Spence? Do you think that having cheeky little quick platinums for completing a 12-hour game, do you think that would take anything away from the fact that we have trophies on a PlayStation 1 game?
Before I say my piece, I'm going to do one of my shots because I have 3 left. So this is going to take it down to 2. As Phil said, I brought this up in an earlier conversation prior to this podcast. I kind of hope that they don't just chuck the platinums in and don't put any effort into it. I hope that they actually make it a good platinum system. They make the trophies. You have to work for the trophies. However, upon thinking about it, I would still like that to be the case. However, I know that PS1 games and these classic older titles, they're harder games than we get now. They don't coddle you. They don't hold your hand as you play. And also, a lot of them are a lot jankier, a lot messier. And if some of these games require specific criteria, they could be so RNG based. They could just be fickle. I think a 12-hour game such as Siphon Filter, which is the example we have, and we know that has trophies. We don't know if it has a platinum yet, but we know it has trophies for a fact.
It's been announced now. It was announced that it's got a platinum only today on day of recording. Yeah.
There we go. Well, now we know Siphon Filter has trophies and a platinum. I've not played Siphon Filter, but that's a 12-hour game. 12 hours of your time on a PS1 title should be worth a platinum, in my opinion. But also it depends on how the game plays, how the trophies work, how kind of the game works. Because if the game's I don't know anything about Siphon Filter. I know nothing about it. I just know it's a good game. Everyone loves it, and now it has trophies, so I want to play it. But depending on how the game works, how the game functions, and how you proceed through the game should dictate how the trophies work on the game. Because if it's just a simple you play the game, that is it, that shouldn't be the case. If the game's hard, and if the game is a bit janky, I'd rather it not have fickle trophies. If I play Siphon Filter, beat the game and get a platinum, I'll be happy. I don't want that to be the case for every single game. I want them to be game-specific trophies.
I agree with you. I think that if they said, right, well, game developers have at it, and some game developers do a really good list, it's so good, and you think, wow, I've played this game a different way than I ever would have because of this trophy list. Fantastic. Some of them are just like, oh, do this, collect all the things, congratulations, platinum. Guardians is one of those, right? It's just a very like basic platinum list. You're like, okay, nothing amazing here. But some of them just really make you like go outside your box. Like, wow, I didn't know I could do this, right? I didn't know this was a thing. So I think that it all depends on developer care, and we're not going to get a uniform trophy system. It's never going to be the thing. Trophies aren't worth the same thing. Like your platinum on Chicken on the Run's worth as much as Phil's platinum on Death Stranding, even though yours took you 20 minutes and Phil's took him 95 hours. It doesn't matter. They're both worth the same thing as far as PlayStation are concerned. So we're not going to get some uniform structure on it, but I think that you're right. It should be a case that game specific, and the ones that do it well, it's an extra bonus to that game. That's all it is, a bonus. The question I've got, now we know that my dreams have been answered, my prayers, my hopes and dreams have come to reality. Do I wait for my Platinum 100 to be Metal Gear Solid when it eventually comes on this service?
It's going to take a while, I feel, for that game to be available, and I think you'd be struggling because you are a trophy whore. Is that fair to say? You love your trophies. Unlike me, you actively go after every trophy that's available when you play a game. Not like me, like I have to really love a game to want to invest it. I think Spencer, you approach it in a very different way again. You actively go for games which you can achieve the Platinum Trophy very easily in to build up your numbers. Like for me, I just do it in the games I love. So Death Stranding, Horizon, Ratchet & Clank, the really top tier games. And that's where the value is for me. And going back to what you were just saying then about kind of like PlayStation, original titles having trophies, and then depending on, the developer's choices that they make, depending on how intricate the trophy support is, I think it would kind of put me off completing an older game if it was just a platinum trophy for completing it if I didn't love it, because it goes against my kind of ethos of a platinum trophy. It would mess up my list because I want them to be the high shiners, really. I want them to be the best of the best that I've got the platinum trophy for.
The only thing is it would mess up your list anyway because you'd have to play it on a UK account. So it would be a totally separate thing from your pure list. You have your pure list, which is your gameplay ones, and then everything else on your PlayStation Plus account. So it would be separated. So you could make that distinction in your mind. You could then at that point be like, I'm going for my life. My life is Mayo, boys. We're doing it. And you could just buy it, get the platinum. You could be like, oh, this profile's got 89 platinums on, boys. But it's all Chicken on the Run 1, 2, and 6. Straight through. You got you got every single one on there. But your other one's your pure list.
I don't think we should open up that hot potato of my American account versus my British account, because I remember when we started this podcast, I brought it up probably for the first 10 episodes, right? We've moved on from those days. We don't need to go back to that continuously as a dig. I understand I'm in a very unique position, and I think, Sony should just be able to sort that out. I should just be able to transfer my account to a different country. I don't understand why. And if they are listening, sort that out, because that is ridiculous. But I will not go on about it any further. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, trophies would be really cool if they're a little bit more intricate. They're a little bit more akin to what we're used to with PS3, PS4, and PS5. But we'll have to wait and see with all that in the future.
So what do you reckon, Spence? Do you reckon I got a hope in hell for waiting out? Like Phil said, I got my whorish nature when it comes to trophies. I can't help but just nobble it down. Just give it a nice little taste. Straight down. The platinum's flowing down my gullet, and I'm just feeling full of platinums. Don't know where to go with this. What do you reckon I should do?
Metal Gear, right, I know you adore that game. I know it's your favourite game of all time. There's no confirmed date of when it's coming out. I'd imagine it would be added this year. You don't know when. As Phil said, you're a trophy whore, bro. There's no way you can hold out that long. I already know what your Platinum 100 is going to be. I think as long as your 100th Platinum is a PlayStation first-party title, it doesn't matter what game it is. As long as it's not like Concrete Genie or Dreams or something like that. As long as it's a name, as long as it's a big game, then you'll be happy.
Let me throw one out there. Is it going to be Stray?
Oh, it could be Stray. Oh, Stray could be my Platinum 100. I'll be so happy with that. John, my wife came in the room the other day. My wife came in and she was like, do you know, there's a cat game coming out to PlayStation. I was like, do you mean Stray? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm so excited to play Stray. I'll watch you play it. People love Stray. Phil, you're dying on this hill on your own. I swear to God, you're dying on this hill. Me and the cat owners loving a bit of Stray. And Spencer, you're a dog owner, but you wish you were a cat owner right now. You want to play Stray, don't you?
Bro, honestly, I've seen that Stray gameplay. I can't wait to play Stray. I cannot wait.
Well, I'm a fish owner. And I think, Davey, because that game, to me, I don't understand why you were so hyped. It's a very cute story about you and your missus, and I can appreciate that, right? There's a lot to be said when a girlfriend or a wife gets involved in a passion, for video gaming or any passion that you share privately. Why not take a shot for that? And let's hear a little bit more about why you like Stray. Because I think you need a drink.
Fuck's sake. I spoke about Stray so much on this podcast. I know you hate it. I'm coming down to Spencer, and then we'll move the show onwards. We got some listener questions. My shot is done. Phil, your power over me, not like I really respected it anyway. I was quite happy taking those shots. But your power over me is over. So now we got to wait until someone hits the button before anyone feels smug about anything.
You say my power has finished now. But Davey, how many big quizzes have you won?
Only one, Phil.
How many have I won?
2, but now it doesn't matter. Because we're already 3 episodes into this and your shots are gone. So now, no one respects your fucking point total. No one gives a shit. It's going to wait till episode 50 and then Spencer is going to win. And you know what? I'm going to spend the next 7 episodes putting all my bets behind Spencer so that he doesn't give me a single shot out of his winnings, right? And this is the thing. And then when I fucking trounce both of you, you're both getting fucked from me. And I've got nothing to fear. But if I back my corner right, at least 2/3 of this podcast is safe. And then it's only you again. And I know I'm getting fucked from you no matter what I do. Even if I was nice as pie to you, Phil, I know I'm getting punished for 5. So I might as well back Spencer, get him on side again, get that relationship right, and then you and Potato Chief, you and Lewis can, go off into the woods together, frolic, and punish me for all my sins of the past. And that's just the way it is.
You know me far too well, because all the shots would be coming your way if I won. I'd be 3-1 up.
I know. To be fair, I deserve shots if I let you win 3-1 up, so it's not going to happen. So, guys, we got a question from Emixim from our Discord, and you can find the link for our Discord in the podcast description. And his question is split into 3 parts. We're going to tackle number 1 here. So he says, I know you guys played a lot of the games from PlayStation Plus Extra game catalog. My question is, from all the games in the game catalog, first party or PlayStation Studios, which are your top 3 games in order from worst to best when it comes to the story? Now, this is only the games that are available on PS4 and PS5, so no PS5 exclusives here. Which are your favourite? Top 3. And this is just for the story now, so not gameplay or anything like that. Which games have the best story from the PlayStation Studios family of games?
So my third, I think, would be Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. I think phenomenal story, phenomenal game through and through. It's beautiful, it's stunning. Naughty Dog are phenomenal at what they do. I cannot give Naughty Dog enough praise. If I could get to their office, I would give each one of their employees fellatio. They are phenomenal. Well, then next on my list, number 2, would be God of War. Because God of War, I didn't like it at the time, but the more time I've spent away from it, the more I want to play it again. God of War, everyone adored it, and it won Game of the Year. Everyone adored that game so much. I was a bit sour on it when I played it, but the more I think about the story and the characters and just the game itself, the more I enjoy that game. And I really want to revisit it before Ragnarok comes out, and I plan to do so. And now my number 1, as no surprise to anyone, is Last of Us. What a sick fucking game. The story's phenomenal. Oh my god. I'm obviously not talking about gameplay, because Last of Us 2 has better gameplay, but the story in 1 is infinitely better. What a sick fucking game. Best game ever made. Come on. You can't have expected a different answer from me. Last of Us 1 is sick. Again, Naughty Dog. Bruv. My guys. Naughty Dog is so sick. These guys, if I went to go give them fellatio for Uncharted 4, it'd be a bit half-assed, right? It'd be like, oh, I guess I gotta do it to him. If I'm going to give him fellatio for The Last of Us 1, oh, baby, they're getting them balls tickled, finger in the arse. They're getting the full works. Jesus Christ, they're having a hell of a day.
The finger in the arse is like an advanced technique. You're really going to give that out? Like, you going to full finger, or you just tickle in the arse?
Bro, for Last of Us 1, I'll lick it, bro.
You give it a full tongue to arse action. That's really impressive. I'm really impressed by your dedication to your craft, Spence. That's excellent. What about yourself?
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Thank you. What about for yourself, Philippoy? What are you thinking? I don't know why I'm full naming you today. I really like full naming you though. It seems to flow. It seems to flow a lot more. I think it's because your surname is like just one syllable, like Hoy, rather than Davis, like myself and Spencer.
Yeah, because both your second names are the same. You know, a lot of people that listen to our podcast and view our podcast probably don't know that you two are brothers. Estranged brothers. Obviously, you live with different families. There was something that went wrong early doors. But yeah, they're both very connected in multiple ways. But anyway, onto my list. And I don't think I have the same dedication as Spencer when it comes to video games and his offer to very much pleasure the creators. I mean, I really admire Hideo Kojima, and I'll buy his book. And I'll buy his video games, but I think that's probably where I draw the line a little bit. But I think there's going to be quite a lot of games here that cross over between the three of us, because there is some heavy hitters in that list. And I know, Spencer, you've gone for Uncharted 4 as your third place. I'm going for Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection. Because Uncharted 3 was my favourite, and it's got an incredible story, and of course you get many more games coming along with that one. It's not just the single game, so if you've not played Uncharted, very much pick that up. Second on my list, and this was top of Spencer, would have been The Last of Us Remastered. Again, an epic story to play along with, and I think it comes as no surprise, Death Stranding would be the top for me. I just got sucked into that world and I cannot stop thinking about it. Talking about the possibilities of having number 2 earlier, it's given me the biggest smile on my face ever, and that's the game I'm looking forward to the future. So that would be my advice. So we're looking at Nathan Drake Collection number 3, The Last of Us Remastered number 2, and Death Stranding would be my top 4 story.
And so bring it on to me to close out the list. And what Phil said there is no surprise. There is going to be a lot of crossover, because my number 3 is the same as Phil. The Nathan Drake Collection, it is Uncharted 3. It's the best one in the entire quadrilogy of Uncharted games, in my opinion. A lot of people say it's Uncharted 2. Some weirdos would say it's Uncharted 4, but that's not the case. It is Uncharted 3. Uncharted 3 is an incredible game. Loved every single moment of it. My number 2 is the same as Spencer's. It is God of War. I think God of War is the second best game on the PlayStation 4. I think it's a phenomenal game. I think it's one of the best games I've ever played in my entire life. And contrary to a lot of people where they say that the classic games are better, games have gotten better over time. There's only the odd game that stands the test of time that becomes better than what's come before it. And God of War is in top 5 for me in terms of the best games I've ever played in my life. Speaking of when we're talking about top 5, my number 1 is The Last of Us Remastered. That is the best story we have on the PlayStation 4 generation, outside of The Last of Us 2, which is not included in this list. Last of Us 2 would pip the posters as number 1, followed closely by Last of Us Remastered, and then God of War would be my number 3 when we're talking about if it was the entirety of the PS4 generation. But we're not. We're talking about what's included as part of this list. So I hope that answers your first question, Emix. So if you haven't played any of those games before, you've got a hell of a great time in that list. Those are all phenomenal games, and there's a lot of crossover because they're phenomenal.
So, boys, after my fucking rant about the greatest game of all time, which it is, I actually want to play it again right now. I'd love to. Emix actually asked more questions. So, the second question, which I will read out to you lot now, is as follows. Do you think that they will remove games from the list of the PS Plus Premium and PS Plus Extra when they add more games? So do you think it will kind of be a rotating list rather than a constantly growing list? I've not really thought about this too much, so I'm unsure what my answer would be. So I'm going to pass it to you boys whilst I kind of ponder the question.
I've had a little bit of a think as you were introducing that. And I personally think when it comes to the PlayStation Studio games, that list will only increase. I don't think there's going to be many that they'll ever think of removing. But when it comes to the third parties, it is all about that relationship, and relationships can change. You can be in love one moment, and then you can be up the wazoo, down the pub, drinking with the boys the next day, and some pretty girl comes in and you've changed your mind about your life, right? And that relationship breaks down. So they would then get removed from the service. So that would be the only reason I could see, for example, Warner Brothers, then moving over to Xbox. It was a previous rumor on a previous podcast that could possibly happen. And then, of course, they would be removed from the service. But I think overall, it would only be a growing list. There might be a couple of rare occasions where the relationship breaks down with Sony and then they're removed from the service.
Davey, mate, what about you? What are your thoughts on this?
Totally disagree with that. I reckon it's going to be definitely a rotating list, 100%. If we look at what they did with PlayStation Now, it was very much a case of that games just came in and came out of cycle. You think about Horizon and the DLC that came with it, the complete collection. That didn't come into the service till like 10 months, 11 months later, maybe longer than that, maybe like 24 months after. And it was in service for about 5 months, and then after that, it just left. I think it's going to be very much a case that this list is going to move around like no one's business. And I think that's fine. Because ultimately, if this works the same way that I think that all games work on this service, and this is the big thing we got to get answered, right? And this would be also interesting to get your guys' opinion on. Will we have access to them forever? Because my opinion going into this is that when we click to download them, we add them to our catalog, we will have them as the same way that PlayStation Plus works. Now, PlayStation Now is not like that. You get it on a time frame for as long as it's on that service for. That's something we don't know yet. Now, I'm thinking that if it rotates off the service, in theory, we should have that forever, as long as you keep your subscription in date and it's still active. But it could very much be a PlayStation Now service where it rotates off. As soon as it comes off the service, it comes out of your inventory. Either way is fine. I don't think either way is a bad thing. I think either way is fine. But like the question asked, yes, I think they will remove games from the list.
I agree, yet disagree with you, Davey. I think they're 100% going to rotate because, as we know, this brand new PS Plus, this entire Spartacus, the whole tier system, is a replacement for PS Now. That is what it is. And PS Now was always a rotating service. It always was. However, even though this is PS Plus, which it is, they've distinctly differentiated the fact that PS Plus Essential members are still going to have those free games every month to add to their library, whereas PS Premium and PS Extra get these extra games whilst you're subscribed. I think for a fact, I think 100% there's no way you keep these games forever. I think 100% if they get taken off of the service, that is it. This is a replacement for PS Now. That is all it is. And I think once it's taken off the service, that is it. Even if you added it to your library, even if you've played the game, it's gone. Which, again, like you said, it's not an issue. That's completely fine. As long as they announce it maybe a month, 2 months ahead of time, so that you know which games are leaving so you can play them and get them out the way, which I would actually appreciate, to be fair, because it'd force me to play games. It'd actually be nice. I think I'd rather them do that than give it to me forever. Because I have like a 150 PS Plus games that I've never touched because I don't need to. I've got Death Stranding and Last of Us and God of War and all these games. I'd like them to give me a time limit, because if they give me a time limit, it's forcing me to play these games and it's making me play it before my access runs out. I think that's the smartest thing they can do, and I think it's what they will be doing.
I think you're right. Actually, thinking about what you just said there, where you're saying it is a replacement for PS Now, you're completely bang on that. And actually, yeah, you're totally right. I recount what I said. I think you're completely right on that. Yes, the distinction between the tiers is bang on. You've nailed the fucking nail on the head there. Like having the PlayStation Plus games that no matter what you do, they're added to your catalog. Fucking brilliant, Spence. That was a great point, and I fully back you on that. 100%. You've changed my mind on that immediately.
So just to tie this topic all together, and I know we're doing this slightly out of order, but we've had a few tonight, so bear with us. So there's two more questions, guys, from the list. When it comes to the music, what's your standout? And when it comes to mindless fun, which one are you picking? So I'll go to Spencer first. I want your top for music out of that list. What's your favourite one to listen to? And I'm an expert on music and games, so wait until my choice. And then we'll go to the mindless, relaxing fun. What would you pick?
I'll tell you right now, mate, you don't need to wait till your choice. The best game on that list for music is Death Stranding Director's Cut. I'll tell you right now. The music in that game, I've only experienced a fraction of that game. The music is phenomenal. Ever since I heard Ludens by Bring Me the Horizon in that game, I listened to that playlist all the fucking time. I told Davey the other day I was listening to that playlist whilst we were just talking. I was like, I can't stop listening to it. That entire playlist in that game is phenomenal. And the way it's paced in the game, there's not constant music. It's just at the right moments, the perfect time. And I know I've 100% stolen this from you. I know this is all probably what you wanted to say, but the timing and the song choice is so phenomenal in that game. You play like 3 hours of just no music, and then you get to that one place and it plays the new song, and you hear it, and it just gives you the right mood and the right setting for the experience that you're having, and you think, fuck me. I remember when I played Death Stranding, I booted it up and I played it out my TV. Within 5 minutes, I thought, what the fuck am I doing? A song could kick in. And I thought I better put my headset on. And I did. And then a song kicked in and I adored it. What a sick game. That 100%, that is the top game for me for music. In terms of mindless, relaxing fun on this list, for me, it'd probably go to the PlayStation Studios PS4 games. It'd probably be Loco Roco. Loco Roco is mindless fun, and you just kind of tilt your big blobs left and right, and it's just silly. It's just fun. It's calming. It's quite relaxing, and you just kind of just move your blobs around, and it's just nice. It's just a nice experience. There's not really much else to describe it as. It's just fun, and I can't wait to revisit it, really. And that's my music and my relaxing choice.
Cheers. Well, you've taken pretty much everything I wanted to say, but that's fine. That's fine. I like it when someone feels the same way as me. It doesn't happen very often on the podcast. So, Davey, what are your top for music and top for mindless, relaxing fun?
So, my best for music is actually Spider-Man Miles Morales. I think that soundtrack is incredible. As much as I love the Ludens and all the soundtrack for Death Stranding, When I think about my Spotify playlist, sure, I got the Timefall playlist saved as one of my playlists on Spotify, but I've also got the Miles Morales playlist, and I listen to that way more. I love that playlist. That playlist is an absolute banger. I think it's just incredible. I think every single song on that playlist is just so sick. I love Death Stranding. I do. It's one of my favorite games on PlayStation 4. But Miles, I always think about the moment where I just finished the Rhino fight and you zip to a lamppost and you're just staring around the streets. And I always think about just that moment where This Is My Time is playing, and it's just such a fucking great memory.
As much as I agree with you that that game has phenomenal music, which it truly does, it really does. There's 3 songs. 3. And 2 of them are phenomenal, which is This Is My Time and This Is Where We Come From. This Is Where We Come From slaps. It's the end music of the game when you beat the game in the credit. Oh, it's so sick. It's such a sick song. I listen to that song almost like daily. That song goes so hard. But it's only 3 songs. That's my issue with it. That's why I didn't choose that as mine.
Spencer, I think the argument comes down to when people say they like Infinity War or they like Endgame more, right? Like, do you like the higher highs or do you like the consistency? Like, and this is the same kind of argument, is that they're both incredible, right? They're both fucking incredible when it comes to sound design, but Miles has higher highs than Death Stranding does. But Death Stranding is a consistently good playlist, right? Sure, maybe like 24 songs of consistency. But Miles, you've got 3 songs which are fucking way better than anything on Death Stranding playlist. And they're so fucking good that there's nothing else. And that's a difference. And I got to be a little bit different from you guys. So that is my music choice. And Death Stranding is also a great choice as well. When it comes to mindless fun, the best choice you can have on this list, and it is without question, so no matter what anyone else says, they're wrong, the best choice is on the PlayStation 3 collection, and it is Tokyo Jungle. That is the best game for mindless fun, without a doubt. Do you ever want to play as a house cat, or a chihuahua, or as any other little tiny animal you can think of, and your entire goal is to survive and breed and create better offspring, kill more animals and breed and get better offspring so you can eventually take down tigers, lions, everything I was mentioning in the first part of this podcast, where I was talking about taking down animals with my bare hands. That's because I've been bred on Tokyo Jungle. I'm the perfect human specimen to take down these animals in pure stealth. And that's why my chihuahua in Tokyo Jungle can take down a lion. Does it make sense? No. They've been bred that way. Perfect game. Perfect game. It's a 10 out of 10 game. Great game to play. I cannot wait for you guys to experience that game. We need a Tokyo Jungle 2. Perfect game. What about yourself, Phil?
Well, you haven't really left me much when it comes to the music. I think you've picked the 2 best games there in that list. For music, I would agree with you both. Miles Morales, obviously, it has some amazing tracks, and those tracks, I still regularly listen to, and I'm sure when we're at Download in a couple of weeks, we'll be blasting that out from our phone, because you can't take speakers to the festival, apparently. So we'll have to see how loud our phone speakers go. But yes, Spencer, you are speaking my language when you're talking about Death Stranding. The music is something special. Don't worry about the game. Just walk around, listen to the music, and when you come over that crest of the hill, you just get the right music at the right point, and it just takes you to a different world. It's something I've not experienced very many times in video games, if in fact at all, really. I'm trying to think of what meets those very high highs of Death Stranding. And I know you've kind of talked a lot about the Bring Me Horizon song, and yes, that is a standout, but the Churches song, my God, I absolutely love 100% that song, and I listen to that a lot. I bought the Churches t-shirt. I don't really know who Churches are. I don't really listen to their music outside of the Death Stranding song, but maybe I should, because that song is beautiful. So that would be my pick. Unfortunately, I know I'm a broken record when it comes to Death Stranding. I talk about it all the time, but how could I not for music? And then when it comes to mindless fun, and this is probably a bit of a strange one because it's a relatively big game. I think you two have picked kind of more throwaway games as your mindless fun. But for me, it's going to be Little Big Planet. And Little Big Planet, for me, 1 and 2, I've not played the third one, but I'm hoping it's very similar. I'd assume it is. For me, that is jump in when you've had a few beers and none of it really matters. The story isn't that deep. You're just going along, popping bubbles and collecting things to be able to build your world. I don't think the world building is in 3 as much as it's featured in 1 and 2. But you can just pop in and have a great time, and it's a lot of fun, right? But I would probably implore you to go back to 1 and 2 because you want the sweet tones of Stephen Fry introducing all the menus in 1. And I love that game. And I think number 2 I've got the platinum for. So yeah, I'm very much a Little Big Planet fan. So that would be my pick for a little bit of mindless fun.
So, Emix, I hope that covers off your questions that you've answered into the podcast. Of course, listeners, if you want to raise questions to us and make sure that we answer them, there's loads of ways for you to do it. First way, right into the email, pswetrust@gmail.com.
You can find us on Reddit. MPS We Trust will come up in your search. You can either Google us, the URL will be in the description, or of course you can go on Reddit and you should be able to find us pretty quickly. I post out a thread on every single podcast that goes live on the day, so make sure you join the conversation. It is flowing.
And of course, you can reach out to us on Twitter at MPSWeTrust or any of our individual Twitter accounts. Mine is _. Dave's is at SSJ Davey. Phil's is at Philip Hoy.
And that is it for episode 43 of In PS We Trust, a PlayStation podcast. Now, I've been Davey.
I have been Phil.
I have 1 shot left, 1 second. I've been Spencer.
We've settled our debts, so take care, guys.
Peace!
In PS We Trust is hosted by Davey, Phil, and Spencer. You can write into the show via our email, pswetrust@gmail.com. Our Twitter is at InPSWeTrust. To find each of us online, follow our Twitters, at SSJDavey, at Philip Hoy, at SpenPie_. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. See ya.